Hey there, comic book friends. I'm Travis, and it's Comic Book Roundtable. Yay! I got a few comic books read. I have my friends here with me tonight. We have, of course, Rez from Rez Reads. How's it going, Rez?
Good. Excited.
And of course, we have with us Mike, Sergeant America. How's it going, sir?
Awesome.
So we flipped that imaginary three-sided coin, and it came up Indie Comics. So all you people who don't show up for the show until an hour in, because that's when we get to the indies, you're going to show up. You're going to go, they already talked the indies, because we're going to be talking Marvel at the end of the show. So all good fun. So we're going to talk indies. What indie do we want to talk first? Who's going? Saucer State. We want to start out with Saucer State. All righty.
I had to get it before you did. I knew it was gonna be. Was it your favorite this week?
That wasn't my favorite, but I really enjoyed it. I mean, for me, it immediately did. I mean, it was instantaneously. I remembered pretty much everything that went on. I mean, the book is like 2 years out or more since the Vertigo run of the book. But I mean, the creators picked up right where they left off at. All the characters, I instantly know who they all were. They all looked the same. Of course, Ryan Kelly, it's the same people doing the book, so it should. But yeah, I'm just really excited. I think this issue did a really good job of kind of touching on all the stuff that happened in the Vertigo series, just to kind of give you a quick, but without doing the Marvel front page, blah blah blah, to tell you what everything was. But actually, in the story, as this issue progresses, they kind of tell you, hey, this is the stuff's going on. Remember that microwave laser that's making people see, weird stuff and aliens or whatever out there. And then, of course, the ex-husband who's still doing some of his own weird hallucinating with the fairy women. Mm-hmm. That's still kind of a strange thing. That in the Vertigo run, that fairy story was really weird because I still don't understand exactly what that was all about. So I'm kind of hoping this will touch on that a little bit more, kind of a thing, and all the kind of trauma as we debate whether or not there's UFOs or not, kind of a thing. And supposedly at the end of this issue, dun dun dun, maybe they are really making contact with us, right?
Yeah, I guess for me, it was like one of the tops for me. At least I think it was my most favorite book this week because of the fact that like you said, as soon as you read it, it just all the nostalgia, it flooded back, and you're like, oh God, I remember this, and I like this, and I remember this part, I remember that part. And I have to say, the whole fairy thing was confusing for me too, because I was like, okay, why exactly they're trying to feed him? Why is he trying to feed them cake, and why are they trying to tell him that he needs to be fed something and he has to eat it, but not now or whenever he feels like it? But
right,
what's going on there? Something I have to say that immediately caught my eye is the illustrations they look more evolved than they did in the Vertigo run.
I think it's the colorist. I think it's a different colorist on the book because it looks
slightly different.
Yeah, I think it's the colorist. The colors look, look richer, and I think Ryan Kelly's always improving, kind of thing. But I really think it's the colors. I think it's the colors more than anything else. I think I'd have to go back and look.
You don't think? I mean, in certain parts on the illustrations. On the characters, the lines look a little thicker than I do remember them. Because I read the first volume again. I reread it today.
Oh, okay.
So I'm thinking like, okay, these lines are they're that are circling the character kind of look a little bit more. That outlining the character look a little thicker or something. Maybe I don't know, but definitely.
Yeah. Okay, I agree. Ryan Kelly's art has gone more that direction. And it's been enough years and he's done enough other work that's probably the case. Because I look at this stuff and I'm like, oh, this looks just like the stuff that was in Cry Havoc. I mean, this looks just like the Cry Havoc art.
Mm-hmm.
Which is the last, I think, some of the last work that he did, a solid book that he was on. And so yeah, I mean, I agree. I think his style has changed a little bit. I think that thicker line, a little less detail in some ways, and that thicker ink line that kind of shadows the characters. Yeah, you're right. And that probably from what it was those years ago when he was doing it, it probably has changed. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, that right there was the first immediate thing I noticed. And so I can't say I was fond of it because I do like the older style. Something as of late in my comic collecting, I stopped collecting back issues because I was enjoying modern art a lot more. But then I'm starting to appreciate the older art, now lately. I don't know. And so when I look at this, I feel like it's more modern, which is the case. I guess they brought it back. But I kind of appreciate the older style that he displayed, in the Vertigo run. But being nitpicky aside, I like this issue. Did, like you said, it reintroduced what happened in previous issues. So I feel like someone doesn't even really have to read too much of the first 2 volumes. They could just read blurbs, maybe a blog post or something, and get reacquainted with that. And because I mean, essentially, it's a lot more mystery and intrigue than there is answers. It's like Lost. So you're gonna be lost for a few seasons before you actually maybe figure something out that would be satisfactory. And so I think it's a pretty good first issue. I'm pretty sure with more if I let it sit a little bit more and more thought on it, it probably wasn't the best of the week. But for me reading it today and then rereading the first volume, it felt like it was.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I bet it was. I mean, I haven't I haven't had a chance to go back and look at the older stuff. But like I said, it really felt like it picked right up, and it's exciting to hear from you that it really just, having just read the first volume, that it just, that it sets that up really well and whatnot. So I really enjoyed it. Like I said, I don't know if it's comic of the week for me, but I enjoyed it a lot. Was very excited to pick up and read it and was not disappointed. I'm always kind of leery. It's been years. These guys have, I mean, I know they had the stories kind of there. They had a finish and Vertigo wasn't going to let them finish it because it wasn't selling. And they had to wait for it to expire, them be able to get the licensing back for it, the rights to it back, so then they could go and do a book. So that much time goes away. I've had some really bad experiences with creators coming back to stuff that they did in the past and be unsuccessful. And this was not that at all. This was, to me, did not feel like it missed a beat.
That's true. I feel that way too.
It really didn't. And that's exciting. That's exciting. Because like I said, it could have been, I mean, I hate to continue to pick on, like Gail Simone and the Secret Six run. Yeah. The last one was amazing. For me, it's, there's comics in there that are like my top comics ever. And then that last run during the New 52 was not good in my opinion at all. So, I'm, like I said, really happy with this. That it was great.
If only we want Ellis to return to some of his previous works that he never finished.
Oh, right. Yeah, no kidding.
With IDW, does it have to sell a certain amount, or is the creators fronting the money? Do you know how that?
I don't. I mean, I'm assuming to some degree it's specific on contract, depending on who's doing what. IDW does a lot of licensed work too, right?
Yes.
So clearly that stuff they're paying somebody else to use the rights to make it, and then I'm assuming their determination on whether they keep making it is based on sales. I don't know what they're getting paid. I don't know how that all works. But it's not like Image where more is fronted by the creators than fronted by the. I think it's controlled by the company, but they already know it's going to be six issues.
Yeah,
that's it. So it's not like they've committed to anything that's going to be long term, unless it sells really well. And what the sales need to be for an IDW book, I bet you, are astronomically different than what sales need to be for a big 2 book for Marvel or DC, because they have. Marvel and DC have a imaginary number.
Yeah. I remember you mentioned the Batman
right. It's
number,
not. It's not like that number. That number is what they need to be at to get everybody paid and make a little bit of money. They want to make X amount of money over that, and so I'm sure that probably that overhead and all of that for the IDW is much smaller. Now, those creators may be making less money. That way? I don't know. I don't know what. Unfortunately, I don't work in comics. So I don't know what all those secret contracts are and how they work. But that would be my guess from my understanding of hearing creators talk about it and whatnot, is that they don't have quite the threshold. IDW books. If IDW books are selling, 20, 30, 40,000 books, I'm thinking that's probably a gold mine for them.
Yeah. I was trying to figure that out because when I talked with Elliot Rowell about the paybacks, he mentioned when he jumped from one publisher to the other, you're given a certain amount of freedom. It sounded even like Heavy Metal fronted a lot of it, and then but then they do expect a certain amount. They want to see that profit margin, and so I think that is the death nail in a lot of these smaller books. Is sometimes it's an unrealistic profit margin that they want. So
right, for sure. Well, they have to. I mean, totally, it's a business,
Yeah.
and there's probably 40 people we don't even think about that have to get paid. Beyond just the quote unquote creators that are on the title, they're on the cover of the book. There's all those other people that are involved along the way in the comic book company. That book has to generate enough revenue to help pay for all that other stuff, to help pay for the publicist, to help pay for the person who answers the phone. All that stuff that we don't think about in comics, I'm sure, is all part of that. Also, that's part of that threshold, whatever that is. It just seems to me like most of the time with the smaller companies, if they say something's going to be 6 issues, they squeak out the full 6 issues. Do you know what I mean? Whereas the big two, they may say something is 6 issues, and if it's really not selling,
Nixon,
they can it. You may never get a full miniseries. So
right.
I
but
just
go ahead.
I wanted to bring something up. I know it's kind of newsy, but something I was really excited about in the back of the Saucer State, in the back of the book, they're releasing the center books from that originally were put out by Fantagraphics, I believe. It's an old European comic, but they're renaming it. IDW is renaming it Alex Center. It's a Euro comic, and I was collecting back issues of this. They're zine size originally. I don't know if they're going to release it in zine size for this, but oh my god, I'm just so excited. It's originally like a Spanish European comic. It's like a hard-boiled PI noir story, but they're talking about it a little bit in the back, and I just thought that maybe you will find that intriguing if you're into that, but right up my alley. And then also they have a Bernie Wrightson book that they're releasing.
Well, it's their tribute, right? It's the Bernie Wrightson was working on Frankenstein. I think Frankenstein Alive, I think, was put out through.
I saw something somewhere on maybe a blog post. They actually will be putting out some kind of book of his works or something.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it wasn't IDW per se, but I remember.
If IDW is doing like their artist editions of some more Bernie Wrightson stuff,
okay,
I'll go broke.
Yeah,
because those are expensive, but those are awesome. Getting that paid size. I mean, that would be amazing. Because talk about quality of line work. Talk about old school art style that still more than holds up against modern work. Bernie Wrightson stuff is amazing.
I have a few as creepy stuff. I have like a hardcover that's all Bernie Wrightson. I'm like, oh my god, I love it.
Yeah, it's amazing stuff. All right, Mike, what you got?
Well, everybody was kung fu fighting, so I'm not sure who.
I'm jealous, man. You got the sexy cover.
Yes, yeah. Me and Runyon argued over this. Yeah, John on Demand was saying it was a better cover than what he would have chose. So
yeah.
I just love it for starting and ending with so much action and still being able to tell an entire story of another villain in this book. I thought that was just amazing to see the development of Hog Kong, and it was this giant pig, and find out it was the runt of the litter, and and to see the storyline, because I love it that he could everybody's leaving the farm and they become in sports, and you see a football, it's the pigskin, the chef, or no, was it the medicine? It's somebody's skin graft, right? And for
entertainment's the cosmetics, yes.
Yeah. So all that was great, and then the other brothers and sisters went to an upscale restaurant, and on the sign you see the dancing pig chefs, and he's like, "Oh, this is wonderful!" And they go in and they see the heads of the pigs in the window.
Yeah.
Oh, that was just it. Just one good little joke after another to keep you going, and then when Mom goes whole hog on the that was awesome. I was so excited with ninja, ninja pig that he ends up developing when he confronts our Shaolin cowboy in the restaurant as a
Yes.
little piglet.
Yes.
Or I guess actually mom confronts him first and gets killed. He gets him on the sidewalk and is given to, a ninja master who dresses him like a little ninja, and they're running on the wires
Right,
of
the telephone
telephone
wires.
poles. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Oh my goodness, it was just so good to see all that. The Shaolin master turns to four turtles and turns his back on the pig. And you
Yes.
think Ninja Turtles until all of a sudden the hog just bites his head off, and I'm like, oh my,
Right.
oh, I just never know where this is going to go. And I guess that's what I love about it too. It just goes left field and then pulls you right back to the story where they confront him once again. So, oh yeah,
Yeah, and it's so tongue in cheek all the way through it. I mean, there are jokes like nonstop all the way through it. He pokes fun at everything. I mean, you look at all the background, and the panels are just insanely detailed. And
yeah,
all the background stuff that's going on in them. The different stuff like the Visa Hut truck. It's both credit and pizza. It's
yep,
this kind of crazy stuff. There's just all different, and he's poking fun at society throughout the thing. Just if everything from American politics to religion to anti-religion. I mean, he's picking on it all. I mean, kind of everything's fair game, but you can spend hours going back over and just looking at the page and all the little stuff that's everywhere. The amount of debris and crap that he draws is just amazingly insane. I just do not understand how you can spend that much time doing it. It's just
yeah.
it's
But
really,
Lord
really smart.
asks, yeah, you definitely have to read it twice, three times to get everything. And then at the very end, you also
Yeah.
still get an additional story on the back that's just like a fun, quick thing that your friend can tell you about. This person who steals toilet paper and how that becomes this big deal of currency and gets hired to protect it. Oh yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. It's the whole Great Scott, when the nation's economy goes on the skids, wink wink. Emperor and King Trump imposes tax on toilet paper to plug the hole in his budget, hopefully to make the country flush once more. All bathroom jokes, right?
yes,
It also succeeds in creating a brown mark for stolen bathroom products. Yes, illegal immigrant Shaolin cowboy is pressed into service by the TP industry to trace the criminal ring back to its sources and aid in stomping Great America's number 2 threat to security. Number 2 threat, war bathroom. Yes. Toilet paper trail leads him on a circuitous route deep into the bowels of the White House and into the porcelain office of the number 2 man in the widespread organization. The cowboy finds he has pissed off the right guy. So yes, that entire thing, and of course it's him sneaking up on a 2 porta potties, and the guy is walking off with a roll of toilet paper.
I also can't believe, when you get these 2-page spread endings that are,
Yes.
it's just amazing to see that as a cliffhanger on each one. So definitely, everybody, please, if you can, get these in singles. I never did see a trade of the first, because what was it, 4 or 6?
The last one where he was fighting all the zombies, there is a trade out there of that.
Okay, I'll have to look for that.
I'm sure there is.
All right, I luckily grabbed one issue out of a box, showed it to somebody, and I was like, "It's great." This entire comic was, or the entire issue, I said, was
Right.
like that, and then somebody explained to me it's 4 issues, and it's all this like silent joke in a way on it. I'm like, wow, okay,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
pretty bold to do something like that. So
Yeah, which almost makes this one shocking because this one's got so much reading in it.
yes,
Whereas the last story arc of him fighting the zombies, I mean, it's literally, there's no noise. I mean, the beginning, there's some cars driving by and some people talking and throwing junk out and hitting him in the head or whatever.
yeah,
A la 1970s or early 80s. Chief, whatever his name is, he's walking along. Probably I'm the only person old enough to remember that commercial with a "Don't Pollute," where they throw the stuff and it hits the Native American guy in the side of the head, and and he cries and all that stuff. But at any rate, so it's kind of a tease on that, I think. And at the very end of the book, there's some talking, but otherwise, there's like 6 issues that are just a giant zombie chopping blood vest, and it was awesome. So, yeah, good stuff. Good stuff. Alrighty, what else? What else do you want to talk about?
Ooh,
What you got, Rez?
Black Hammer.
Oh, I love this
9.
comic.
I'm still reeling in from issue 8, where was it Colonel Weird, where he killed Talkie-Walkie, and
yes.
yeah, and then in this issue we kind of learned Talkie-Walkie's backstory, which I loved. I mean, I loved it. Like, it was tropey. It was like so old school. Like, this whole entire series is so old school. Like, such a refreshing take on how Silver Age and Golden Age comics played out. And I love reading this because it's like I get my taste of it without having to actually go back and track some of those down and pay a lot of money for it.
Right.
I give it a modern comic. So I love Black Hammer for that. I really, like I said, enjoyed seeing where Talkie-Walkie originated and how he was pretty much, he fought against everyone that was, on his planet. He wasn't like them. He was just this one robotic cybernetic robot thing, and then he just felt like, well, I'm not like everybody else. I want to leave here. I dream of bigger things and better adventures. And after he helped save Colonel Weird from being obliterated by them, him and Colonel Weird, they become friends. And kind of sad that there's something going on right now where he decided to take Talkie-Walkie's life. I'm wondering more about this whole Parazone. Like, we still don't know nothing about the Parazone. We know that he's able to see the future and see past and stuff, and it's like right next to each other. But it's not so explicitly explained that we get his motivations for why he decided to kill his best friend and only friend.
Mm-hmm. And he clearly travels in between all that time. I mean, time to him is kind of this kind of lucid thing. I'm not sure he's completely always aware of where he's at in the time stream, but clearly he sees a future and he's trying to stop something.
Yeah,
like
physically, you see it. It takes
he's a wreck.
Yeah, he's a wreck. Yeah, it's hard to.
Well, his would-be wife, her being like that one issue where we saw that, it's like, I don't know, issue 7 or something like that, where it's the issue on him, and we see his wife try to go through that zone, and she gets like sliced into all these kind of weird segments and whatnot. I mean, I did. You talk about it being kind of this kind of golden age, silver age, look and feel to it, but somehow at the same time it has a very modern storytelling sensibility to it too.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, because I love all those old comics. I love the ideas of them and stuff. But quite honestly, the writing of them is not necessarily like the greatest as far as actually people having real conversations and that sort of stuff. It, to me, is always the downside of those old comics. So you get both in this. I think a lot of the greatness of this book is Dave Stewart does all of the coloring for it. This issue had a different artist on it, which I loved. I love this guy's Dave Rubin's style was awesome in this book.
Oh yeah.
But I think it's also Dave Stewart has this kind of this palette, this color palette. And I mean, that's the color palette right there. It's nothing is sharp. It's all this kind of off colored, kind of like if you opened up an old comic book and the colors have been kind of, they're kind of muted. They're kind of this kind of offset kind of a color to it.
Real faded. I like that. Yeah, kind of faded.
Yeah, that's Dave Stewart. Dave Stewart's an amazing colorist, but he's just got this kind of, that color palette I think is really, really strong. But yes, this was a great issue of, we go back and get this kind of cute story of finding about how Talkie-Walkie, how he came about, how we got him. And at the same time, while this story is going on, he is bleeding out, or the equivalent of robot bleeding out. Mm-hmm. And Colonel Weird is there with him going, man, I'm so sorry we had to do this. So we also find out that this is the issue that we cement that he can see the future. Mm-hmm. He knows what's going to happen. He knows what people are doing because he gets confronted by Black Hammer's daughter. She's like, wait, you wait a second. You can see the future. So how we get out of here? If we get out of here, and he's like, I can't tell you all that stuff. That's all stuff I really can't talk about.
he told her that we had this conversation before. It doesn't end well for you. And so I'm like, oh crap, is something gonna happen to her next issue? Like her father. So there's just so much intrigue. I love it. It's like you know, like this is the kind of series that makes you continuously want to keep going. Even though I feel like the annual and the Madame Butterfly issue was not so pleasant to read for me personally. Mm-hmm. I still feel like this is a great series. I never want to drop it. And people talk about Jeff Lemire. You know, like they're not sure, but.
Oh, not with this book though, 100%. I mean, I am, I'm one of the Jeff Lemire. I don't know.
Yeah.
People, not with this book. This book last year was easily top 5.
Oh, for sure.
Comic book of the year for me. Really easy. I mean, it's not even don't even have to think about it. So I absolutely love it. I'm really intrigued by the very end of it though, as get this great shot of here's Takiwaki. He's basically bleeding out. He's sparking. He's fading, and then he transfers to the spaceship. Where the hell is the spaceship at? Does that mean he got out? His consciousness went to the ship? Because he is.
I was about to say he let out alert, and they're gonna find him.
Look at this badass cover for the next issue. If you can't tell me that does not look like old school comic book pulp.
Oh yeah.
And if you can't get behind that, I'm confused, because that just screams old school comic. It's just awesome.
I like this too, little fan art in here in the back.
Yes.
I love that. It was just so awesome. I absolutely love this comic. And honestly, when I was looking at the art, I was like, oh my god. I don't know why it didn't register to me that Dave Rabin was on, even though it was right there on the cover. But I felt like I was reading what's the one he just was on with the scientist who was able to go Ether with Matt Kent. I love. So
this is the same artist. Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. I didn't realize that.
Yeah, same artist from Ether. And so I was like, I felt like I was reading Ether because again, Ether's even though it's kind of fantastical, it's kind of scientific because the guy Boone Diaz, the main character of Ether, he was a scientist, and I kind of felt like it was really related because it's the same artist. It felt just like that. Even the color scheme was very similar. I think Dave Stewart did the coloring on that one as well, maybe. Because that one was just.
He could be. Dave Stewart does a lot of work for Dark Horse. I mean, that's he does work for Dark Horse, and then he works on particular people's art that do art other places. I mean, he'll color. There are artists that basically those artists say, hey, if I'm doing your art, Dave Stewart's going to be the guy that colors it. He colors those people wherever they go, whatever company they're working for. And otherwise, Dave Stewart does most of his work for Dark Horse.
Yeah. Yeah, this is definitely one of my faves of the week for sure.
Yeah, this is probably my top book. I have a problem just picking one anyway, but definitely, absolutely love this book. Every time I pick it up and I read it, the annual was a little, I liked the issue with the haunted house woman. That was fine. But I was wondered about this issue with having a different artist other than Dan Ostrom, but still just awesome. Great stuff.
I do have to say, don't you notice that everybody's backstory so far has been like mostly everybody's backstory has been really like that golden age kind of silver age feel where it's really like it's light and airy and fun. Except Barbalian's, his story's been the most deepest one. If you really look at everybody else's story, has been the one with the most substance. Like, okay, he's battling being homosexual. He's right. He was a print. I mean, no one else has had that much substance to their story except for him. So it makes me wonder how significant he will be in the very end. Like, I'm thinking he'll be huge. I don't know the story, Yeah,
I don't know though, because I thought that I thought the girl's Grace. I thought hers was pretty.
Oh yeah, hers too.
Hers is pretty intense too, with the whole idea of you're trying to live your life, and every time you revert back to being the superhero, then when you go back to being human again, you basically start over as a little girl all over again, kind of thing.
Well, those two, but Madame Butterfly, hers, even though hers was very sad, I still feel like it didn't hold the same emotional weight that I had for Grace. Is it great? Yeah, Grace and Barbalian, like those two were definitely the most.
But they all still. But you're right though. They're all told when we get their backstory. Their backstory is told extremely golden age, kind of pulpy, kind of a story. I mean, I think they actively make sure that story has the Great Scott and the gee whizzes and all that kind of stuff in it. So then because then it's draped around what's currently happening to them. Black Hammer, their greatest hero, is dead, and they're trapped in this farming town, and they can't get out of it. And they're some of them want to get out, some of them are trying to live the life that they have and whatnot. So you have this kind of modern tale going on that, well, clearly one guy just shot his lifelong partner. I mean, granted, it's a robot, but he basically killed him.
Mm-hmm.
So there's this other sinister stuff going on around it. So the two play off of each other really well. Like I said, when you get their backstory is that you just as, typical of a golden age stories you can get. And then around it, of course, is our, what we currently have for modern stories, where most of them are kind of dark. There's something sinister going on. And so we get that story around it. And the two really balance each other really well.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. Love it.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Mike, what you got?
Rat Queens. With this one, I continue to enjoy it issue to issue. I had a little tough time remembering how it had ended. It was the girls had once again gotten drunk, decided to try to walk. They walked through a cemetery and decided, once again, let's try and raise the dead. Well, this time it worked, and they didn't know what to do. It was too many, and luckily another adventuring band came in and rescued them. And it's that kind of fun. I mean, it was difficult to, Curtis J. Weeb does a great job writing it. Upchurch's art previously was what I was used to, but they switched through enough people that I roll with it well now. And there is some pretty decent artists on it. And the most recent one was Owen Giannini, I guess, or it's always tough to recommend this book because it's very genre specific. It is the Dungeons and Dragons idea, but I think it's a fun take. A girl power group. They're a little raunchy, a little naughty, and even to the point like when they get back to their home, the magic user who is an elf comes in, and Dad is using her soul stone to communicate with Mom, who has passed away.
Okay,
And,
right.
Yeah. There's things that adults do. And so it's things like that are just always amazing. And of course, once again, they end on another cliffhanger where they go on this amazing trip. It's all this D&D feel. So I think if you're a D&D person, you really enjoy it. John on Demand, who I chat about all the time from a comic book look, he's not quite as into it as what I am, but I do know some other people who play or enjoy that genre, have gotten a kick out of it. They do fun things like, here's a little short story in the back about the guys playing volleyball, and then you see later the girls are cheering them on, well, that was good. They have awesome covers, like this will be the cover for the next one. So it's things like that continue
get nailed by the mimic. Right on.
Yeah, exactly. This one is issue 2 of volume 2. So it is good on the inside that when you flip it, it does tell you what volume it is and then what issue. Otherwise, yeah, I mean, I don't remember how many issues the first one went to, if it was about 20, 24 maybe.
Yeah, I don't remember. Yeah.
But it was enjoyable. I just know that they had the trouble with the second creator and all of his family issues. So, but it's been enjoyable.
Right. Well, yeah, it had all kinds of issues. It had those issues, and then they hired somebody else, and then they kind of, depending on who you want to believe or what you want to believe, that creator got screwed, and then they threw another creator on it for a bit, and then that creator was off of it for a bit, and then he decided to put the book on hiatus because it was such a train wreck, I think, of who was what. I think the guy that you just mentioned, Owen, I think that's the regular artist on the book now. I chose not to pick it back up after all the spastic stuff that happened with the last run with the artists and all the kind of craziness that went on with that book. I decided that it was time for
happening. I mean, like what? I remember the other artists being on Rat Queens. I almost thought about picking it up, and I just something about it just didn't.
It started with a domestic issue, and then like what Travis said, I mean, there was arguments on whether somebody was fired or contract ended, and there was a lot of ugliness to the behind the scenes.
Yeah.
It really feels like they've ironed that out, that they've made it a business and it's successful now. So
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
It's amazing what you know. So these titles, you don't know. Sometimes you just don't know who you're reading, and and then
Like I said, there's two sides to that. When I was a kid back in the day before the internet, can you believe that there was a time before the internet? I just read the books, and I either enjoyed the comic because it was good, or I didn't enjoy it and I didn't read it, and I didn't think about nor worry about, what the creators themselves were up to. In this day and age, with social media being the way it is, even if you don't follow the people, you still hear about way more stuff than you would hear about, otherwise, kind of thing. There's lots of creators I don't have to follow anymore, and I still know what they're up to and what they're saying because they say enough stupid stuff that that I hear about it from other people, so I don't have to actually follow myself. So, kind of thing. So I know it's one of those kind of things. I mean, would I still be collecting Rat Queens if I didn't know all that other information? Maybe. Or I might have been frustrated that maybe I may have not gone back to picking up just because of how erratic it got towards the end, the release dates towards the end, and it just kind of faded away. I may have not committed to picking it up again otherwise, just because of how reliable are they going to be. So
yeah, without some internet knowledge, there's a lot of stuff I would get sick of and be ripping up more comics. So
it saves us. It saves us from that. That's right.
Yeah.
Right on. Let's see what else I want to talk about. Let's talk about Deadly Class.
I had called it.
Would have been the first book I picked up. Yeah. So Deadly Class issue number 28. We get a scene at the beginning that almost had me cussing at the very beginning of the book. So Marcus is hanging out on some beach, spoilers for anybody who doesn't know that he's not dead like we thought he was. And he's hanging out and he's talking with somebody, and you find out that he's talking with Willie. Well, we saw Willie die too. Basically the same issue that Marcus died. And I'm like, what? No one died? Son of a... No. He's talking to a ghost, basically. So that's okay. I'm okay with that because I was getting ready to have a fit because I didn't like the idea of the fact that, oh God, they're going to bring everybody back and whatnot. So we finally get the kind of backstory that fills in the blanks of how did that all work? The whole, him not being killed. They had a plan clearly at the very last second. It didn't work out completely. They didn't want Willie to get killed, but they couldn't fix things before that. Soya's got her stuff going on. There in Tokyo, clearly she's getting played pretty badly. And then we got at the school, the power tripping is still going on there at the school. Who's in charge? Is it Victor? Is it the fat slobby kid that basically it's really his girlfriend that's calling all the pieces. Petra has flaked with them. She's trying to be one of them. She clearly isn't one of them. So I don't know what's going to happen to her now because she's kind of become the despicable character. I think bad things are going to happen to her in the future just because, she used to be with Marcus and Soya and all of them, and she kind of turncoated on them and became a blonde. Ew. And so all that's really interesting. The one thing I will say is I really do. I mean, I love Wes Craig's artwork. I think he's a dynamic panelist, great action, does a great job of the way he does a page layout, all the different stuff about that. But the last two issues have seemed rougher as far as like his line work. It's not as crisp as what it was at the beginning of this book. I mean, I still really, like I said, I still really like it. It's still really dynamic. Lots of, panels that give us, different looks of what's going on to drive the action and move our eyes across the page. But there's something about the line work that just looks different. And I want to say it's rushed, but I don't know if that's really what's different about it or if he's using a different technique. Something about it is different. And I don't like it as much as the old stuff, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But still I really like the book. I just always excited to see where it's going to go to, what kind of craziness is going to happen in it. So anything you want to say about it, Rez?
I like Deadly Class. I always, when I start reading, I always remember. I mean, it always reminds me of how much I need to go back and read everything because
Well, that's right.
not jumping friendly whatsoever. Like this is really not. I think I started at 21, and I'm like, okay, I didn't know really much about people who died and who didn't, but now it's starting to kind of clear up for me now that we're on issue, was it 28?
28, yeah.
It doesn't have the same emotional impact for me, so I'm just like, okay, that person's not dead now, okay. And then we, the whole diary entry that was so conveniently found from Saya.
Right.
Hearing some more things about how she executed the plan to ensure that Marcus lived, which sounded very, it sounded very comic booky. That's someone in real life. I'm still trying to figure out this whole dynamic with these groups that are wanting to take over the school. Like, what's going on with that? Why? How is it?
Yeah, and you not having read that, that's not going to make as much sense. Not having it, this story definitely has long-term reader payoff to it for sure.
Yeah, so I feel like I need to go back and read for sure. It won't be a top book for sure until I start reading back issues.
Right.
But until then, it always seems like something okay.
Or new stuff starts happening that doesn't have to do with the past. See, that's just it. A lot of the stuff that's happening here is payoff for stuff that's happened, 14 issues ago kind of thing. So, I think the book for you either will be more enjoyable when you have all that story, or they start moving into new territory. So you start to become part of the reading what is going to be payoff down the road.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Sure. Totally can see that.
Yep. I do like this cover though by Andrew McLean. I like that.
Yeah, that is a cool cover. Yes. Yes. Okay, Rest, what you got? What do you want to talk about?
Let's see. This is something I wasn't sure what I was gonna get with this. And I read, it's pretty much 2 issues of the Elvis Files, issue 1 and 2. And it's by a company or publishing house called Good Idea Comics. So they kind of came out of nowhere for me. I'd never heard of them, but they have 3 titles to their name. This one called Mars One, and then these 2 titles. And they apparently, explain that they have more coming on the way. I want to first show the art because I thought very different. It kind of makes me feel like I'm reading one of those underground comics. Just these old school. I mean, I'm gonna pull up a good scene so you guys can see how crazy it looks. But somebody's getting annihilated there. But it's the premise is so weird, and I just don't know if it gels, if it works or anything. But it's about Elvis apparently faking his death. He decided, I'm tired of being the king, and I now want to be a FBI grunt. I want to be a detective, an FBI detective of some sort, agent, and I want to solve murders. I don't know how that, and this, even within the first 2 issues, I was hoping it'll give me a good explanation as to why, like, please, a solid reason on why, that it makes sense, that would make me utterly believe the nonsense, but nothing came. So it just literally jumped from him being the king, telling, he went to the FBI, goaded them into this idea of him being an agent. Okay, and tells them, hey, I'm tired of being a rock and roll singer. Okay, and I want to now investigate murders and stuff. And they're like, he can't. Like, can you do this? We're the FBI. We could do. We're the government. We could do anything. And then next thing you know, he starts dying. Apparently, they initiate this death, and they give him plastic surgery and transform him. And then they hide his files away to, of his identity. And so we have this one reporter somehow gets a hold of the story that the FBI has Elvis as one of their agents. And so he's trying to blow this wide open, right? He's worked for a tabloid where they lie, alien UFO things, all kinds of, tabloid headliners and stuff. And when this guy finds this out, he gets the information from a janitor. Now all the agents who were attached to Elvis's new identity, they're tracking down all these, this reporter and the janitor that gave them the information. And they're killing people left and right. And then we also have in the midst of this, Elvis trying to solve this murderer, the serial killer that's coming out every 30 years. He's gruesomely killing women. He's taking their eyeballs out and he's saving them. And it's so crazy. It's like, I don't understand how this mixes together. I just feel like this would be such a good comic, and they just took the Elvis out of there. Because I don't really care for Elvis, anyways.
This is a Nicolas Cage movie. This has to happen.
Yeah, I know. That's what I was thinking too.
Yeah,
I was thinking too. It's like, oh my gosh.
totally. Like I said, it's totally 8mm, but it's Elvis in place of it. I would love to just see them just do this comic without the Elvis attached to it. Just it's a hard-boiled pulp. I love pulp. I love it, but I don't.
So the Elvis is the hook.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
Really, the one that tell this serial killer story. The Elvis is the part that everybody's going to pick up the book because they're going to go, Elvis, what the hell? To read it for the Elvis thing. And they're never going to, there's no way they can realistically justify Elvis going from being, rock and roll superstar to being an FBI grunt. That's something you just have to kind of accept that it's ridiculous and roll, I would guess. There's no way.
Yeah.
He had that military training, and I do know that the first pitch on this story.
They mentioned that in there. They actually mentioned that in there.
The first pitch of the story, though, Rez, was it was going to be a great white shark, but they knew you would not purchase another one of a great white shark. So.
Yeah.
But the Elvis wanted to be a great white shark? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I could buy that more.
But I like.
But he's not running around as Elvis, right? He's gotten like reconstructive surgery.
His name's Elvin.
Elvin?
His name's Elvin. Was it Elvin?
And the Chipmunks, huh?
Yeah,
Elvin Presler, yeah.
Elvin Preston or something. I'm like, I know, it's so crazy. I said this
Still
is like
the same voice. Yep.
It's so undergroundish, really. Honestly,
Oh my god.
I like it, but
You're
don't.
right. That is a Nicolas Cage movie. I don't know if I want to read this comic, but I really do want to see that movie.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
But they could drop the Elvis act. Pun intended.
Oh.
It would be even better because I'm just like, oh my god, please.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, funny stuff.
Mhm.
Right on. Very cool. Mike, what else you got?
I got nothing that's
Okay,
gonna
nothing?
top that.
Okay.
So.
Let's see. Let's talk plastic. And I don't know if Rez got plastic or not.
Yes, I got plastic.
Okay.
What cover did you get? Did we get the same cover?
Issue number 2. I just got the standard regular old cover. Yeah, you got the head in the bag, which is a very cool cover.
Yeah, scribbles. Across his head.
Yeah. I've seen a lot of people talk about that they love this book. I'm not that excited by it at all. So I mean, this issue, he's been separated from his love doll, Virginia. And basically Virginia's being held ransom. They know he's like a secret agent killer dude or ex-secret agent killer dude. So they want him to bump off some people for them. He did so very quickly in this issue. And then he goes back to the handlers that are kind of helping, set this whole thing up. Yeah, he finds out that they're going to kill him. So he kills them too. The head that's on Rez's cover is the head of the other guy that was setting him up. He literally saws it off with a coping saw, not, a fine little, fancy cutting saw, not like anything really big or, dainty thing. Puts it in the plastic bag because plastic fixes everything. And he goes to buy donuts. He's got a sheriff. He's got a deputy with him or something like that. No, the ex-sheriff. The sheriff with him that was going to be part of this whole setup thing that they were gonna kind of pin the murder on somebody else, kind of a deal. Meanwhile, our bad guy is, I'm not even sure what they're up to. They're planning something. I don't even know what that is per se. And then with the donut shop he goes into has a actual living girl who looks an awful lot like Virginia, which I feel sorry for anybody who looks like a plastic blow-up doll, but she does. And she sells donuts, and he loves donuts. And I mean, clearly he loves donuts, right? I mean, so yeah, and there's this skeezy guy that's the new sheriff who's kind of hitting on her and whatnot. I don't know. There's just not anything to this book. I wasn't that impressed. Yeah, yeah, there's some violent murder in it, and he talks fondly about plastic. I'm not. Am I missing something?
I don't even care about it. I don't even care. Like, honestly, this issue is so boring to me. I'm so over it. I've read better. It's just not getting to the point yet. It's not getting to the point. I may be being hard on it, honestly, but I'm just like, why am I still reading this? That's how I'm feeling. Like, it is. You're right. It's violent. And it's like there's some things in here that I feel like, come on, this guy, he's working with a serial killer of some sort, obviously very violent man, and he's not going to see the guy. He's telling the guy, yeah, so I'm pretty much going to kill you. And he's going to think the guy is going to kill him back. Like, he's going to think there's something going to happen. You have the guy behind you. To me, I wouldn't be telling somebody my plan that I'm going to kill them and leave them somewhere and have them behind me while I'm telling them this and think that I'm not going to be killed. It was just unbelievable in some cases. The girl coincidentally looking like a blow-up doll. I feel like they're gonna try to give her a bigger part. Maybe she is the model of the blow-up doll in particular. And to leave that life, she's a donut shop worker. You know, I think that may be something they're trying to grab at, but it doesn't have enough.
Well, so here's the thing, and I'm going to use the last book you just talked about as comparison. Okay, so in the Elvis is the FBI agent book, right? The hook is Elvis. You buy it because of the whole what Elvis, solving murders kind of thing. So this first issue was all scandalous, and me and you, Rez, we're readers of the world. We've read stuff that's way more out there than this, right? Mm-hmm. This whole, oh my gosh, he's really getting it on with this blow-up doll. I mean, he treats her like a real woman as far as he's concerned. She really is, and they get busy a lot in the thing. And I think that's the hook, right? We're supposed to be shocked, titillated, whatever by that. Mm-hmm. But what they really want to tell us is they want to tell us this murder for hire story with this guy who's really extreme and clearly is an unhinged, one of those unhinged government agents.
Very likely.
Right. And the whole loving the plastic doll thing is the thing that's supposed to be the shocking, titillating thing to get us to read the book in the first place. Mm-hmm. It's how I see it right now. Unless that comes back into play in some other fashion, I don't know. I mean, I didn't think anything happened really in this issue. Really. Yeah.
I mean, it's so much didn't happen to the point where I'm like, I can go without it. I'll see what somebody else thinks of it past whatever few issues, but I'm not gonna get any more. I mean, this is, I'm looking for reasons to cut things, and
this was easy.
Yeah, made an easy decision for me. Yeah.
I mean, and let me say, I didn't think it was awful. I mean, it wasn't like, oh my god, this is just horrible. I mean, it's just but nothing about it makes me say I want to keep reading it. I think if I want to read something that's scandalous, I think there are more clever and funner scandalous comics out there. And the murder mystery end of it isn't really that intriguing either. There's lots of other books out there that are doing it better. I think I like the art, but it's not like mind-blowing art. It's just nice, really clean art. So there's nothing about it that makes me have to rush out and buy it, even though, maybe the story isn't as strong. It doesn't have an art that is satisfying enough to make up the difference. So I doubt. I don't think I'm ordering it anymore either. I mean, I've got a couple more issues coming clearly because I ordered in advance, but that'll go at the bottom of the pile of things to read as I go to read. So
yeah, it just misses something from the formula here. I just don't know. I can't put my finger on it. I just know it's missing something that would keep me going. Because it does have elements that we do like. I mean,
oh sure, there are moments that were cool, but just not put together, and nothing happened.
Yeah,
the reality is nothing really happened for 20 pages. So,
but there's moments too where we will read something it's a series we're reading where nothing happens, but you still continue on with that series. Like it may be a series that has a hiccup or two, but it's for some reason it has something that still keeps you longing to read. Again, this was missing that.
Well, and who knows? Next month I may read it and go, oh my gosh, and whatever was in this issue makes sense or was worth it or something. I don't know. But as of right now, not too excited by that.
Yeah.
for sure. Alrighty, Riz, what else you got?
Let's see.
I got a couple more.
Me too. I have Mars One. This is again by Good Idea Comics. So they have a lot of good ideas apparently.
Yep.
Pretty bold name for your publishing house. But this was pretty much a sci-fi story. I have to get out the way. I'm torn on the illustration style. It's not my bag, to be honest. It's not bad. It's not great. It just, I kind of felt like it didn't go with the story, if that makes sense. Like, I feel like it should have been something more detailed and more.
My first complaint is there's no backgrounds.
Yeah.
And them being in a white room with no backgrounds makes it really hard to be excited about it.
You're right. It's not so super intriguing when you look at the whole entire, like when you look at the page layouts and stuff and the paneling. You kind of it just, to me, when I think of a sci-fi story, I think of okay, thank you for telling me. When I think of a sci-fi story, I think of something that just is so illustrative and it's just bam in your face, like a lot of space stuff. I don't really get that when I get this. It's just like a lot of people in the white rooms talking, trying to figure out what happened on Mars, on the Mars colony that they're trying to go to, and then, they find out when they get there that there's a whole bunch of dead bodies, something's torn savagely this crew apart. They don't know what it is. And of course we're going to jump into the next issue. I mean, it wasn't a bad issue. Just the illustrations did not go with the story whatsoever. Sure. At all. It could have been better if they had different artists on it. And then there was more, I guess, scenes in the background. I guess I'm saying it right, just more illustrated. There
was more background. Yeah,
more background.
Right.
Yeah, it's not enough. It's not enough of it. It's just so I don't see where it would be this would be something that someone would just say, oh, let me pick this up. I could see someone picking it up, opening it up, looking through it, and say, oh, I'm putting it back. So not a lot of draw to it.
Right. A bunch of white pages with guys on it.
Yeah.
That's tough. I mean, the illustrations, right, are at least 75% of the comic book. I mean, we say writer and artist, it was written well, but it wasn't drawn well. The artist is the visual storyteller. They're telling the story as much or more than the writer is. So if that falls down completely, or it isn't suited for the book that's there, it's I'll say I'm not the biggest Jeff Lemire, him doing the artwork. I'm not the biggest fan of his art style, but it works for his stories. So I don't mind it when I'm reading, I'm reading his stories. And he does backgrounds, for instance, as much as his look have a cartoon kind of a style to them, at least they have backgrounds. They're not people that are kind of floating in a void kind of stuff. So
it's kind of like that Aftershock book, the one with the lawyer, Blessed Blood Blister. You know how I don't think the art fits anywhere near the writing. It just feels like it doesn't fit. And so because they didn't mesh it well, you're like, oh, why give up on this? So I could see someone easily giving up on this book because it won't. If they read the book and then saw the illustrations there, the whole time I kept reading this, I thought, wow, I could really look. I could really do with another artist right now. I just can't, because it had the makings of a sci-fi movie for sure, or sci-fi show, something on Sci-Fi Network or something. Sure. Definitely not like a high budget comic for sure, by any means. But I could see this being a pitch where you have a Mars colony, you have a colony on Mars. Something's happened. They got a weird transmission. I mean, it was really Dead Spacey in the very beginning when we get the transmission from the guy, one captain. He's saying, something's happened, and I'm gonna die. Tell my wife I love her, and then you don't hear anything else from the guy, and the rest of it.
Cool. Alrighty, I am going to talk East of West, issue number 33. So this is another book that's not jump on friendly, but complete and 100%. This book is like complete payout for lots of stuff that we've been reading for 33 issues, kind of a thing. in this. There's some great poignant moments in this. There's a dead chief from the First Nation that they have up on a pyre, and they're burning him. And somebody's asking, well, why do you burn your leaders? Why do you, and this guy first gives this, kind of romantic, we burn this so the sky gods see us, and for at least a moment, remark at how, important we are, or that we matter, and all this stuff and whatnot. And then of course we get all this, throughout the rest of the book is, the Union is going down. The people of the Union, the people who live in the Union, are overthrowing the government. They're attacking the Madam President. There's all kinds of crazy stuff going on there. We had seen some lovers. One of the lovers was in the Union, and one of the lovers was part of the Mao part of the country. And we're kind of like, okay, how's that work? They both work for different governments that are at war with each other. How's that all? We see some more of their relationship pan out in this issue, which was really cool and really interesting. And then we at the end of it, you think Madam President is dead, but she's not dead, but then she ends up being dead by the end of the book. But there's another burning at the end of the book, and there's a voiceover going, well, what was the other reason? You said there were two reasons why we burn, why we have these funeral pyres, and the reason for the second one was, I can't remember what it is. I remember it. Can't remember off the top of my head, but it was really poignant because they ask, another reason why you burn leaders, what is it? And the guy says, oh yeah, we burn them because they had it coming, and it's the Madam President that they're burning at the stake. I mean, she's still alive, and they literally burn her up at the end of the book because she is awful. I mean, she has been awful to this book, kind of thing. Part of the reason the uprise comes and gets her and takes her out is because at one point early on in the book, and when I say early on, like maybe issue 3, so 30 issues ago, she's like out in the riffraff, the poor are kind of like scraping stuff together, and she takes a guard's gun and shoots up a bunch of these poor people, basically for groveling because they don't have enough food, and she's kind of tired of them complaining. So she shoots them up and leaves one of them alive and goes, I'm leaving you alive. You go tell everybody else how merciful I am, and kicks the person to the curb and walks off. Well, that person's in this issue, and she is basically rallying thousands and thousands of people to attack the equivalent of the now White House and take them out in a giant overthrow, which is really cool. I just really, really love this book. Great artwork in it, great colors in it, and but it's a long haul book. And now we're getting towards the end. We're getting towards the end of the story, and I don't know. I think there's still probably half a year, 2 years with the comics left in this. But all the stuff that was built towards the beginning of this book now is just pure payoff, and it's just a joy to have this long term and now to be getting all that kind of payoff and whatnot. It's just been really, really great, really fun.
And of course, with its breaks, I always am surprised it's only on 33. Because I feel like you've talked about it, 4 years, 5 years now.
At least 4, I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it was, yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, they take healthy breaks, like 3-month breaks. They do like 6 issues and then take a break and whatnot. But they're supposed to be producing somewhere around 3 years. So it will get collected in these kind of hardback volumes. Year 1, year 2, year 3 is kind of how is one of the collections I keep hearing other people say. I will end up getting this. I like this so much that I will get it in some sort of fancy hardback version once it is all done. So I can have it. This can go in my comic boxes, and that can sit on the shelves and be awesome to look at when I want to crack it open and sit down and read a whole bunch of it at once. First to admit, around issue 4, I doubted the book. I was like, oh, I love this setting, but it's just taken forever to get anywhere or really do anything. Hung around for a little longer, about issue 6 to about issue 9, things started firing, and it has not stopped since then. It has just been an awesome ride since then. So, yeah. Rez, any other indie books you want to talk about?
Let's see. What is it? The Normals. Normal
Okay.
or The Normals #1.
It's an Aftershock comic, right?
Yeah, Aftershock comic. We're introduced to this seemingly normal family.
Whatever that is, right?
Yeah, whatever that is. Husband, wife, daughter, and young son. And the dad, comes home. He's starting to grill out in the backyard. Him and his son are chatting, and he tells the son, "Yeah, hey, come down to the treehouse and come help me grill these burgers and stuff." His son has an accident and falls, and he sees that there's like a light on the back of his son's head, and he's like, "Oh my God, what is that?" And then so when the wife comes out, he's trying to tell her like, "Hey, there's a light illuminating in the back of our son's neck. Like, well, I don't know what it is in the back of his head, and it's not showing, so she can't see it." She's like, "What are you talking about? I don't see it." So then when he's sleeping, the little boy's sleeping, he goes to his room and tries to see if it's there again, and he sees it, and the wife's in the closet, and she witnesses it herself, and she's crying, and so they're like, "Okay, we had to pack the whole family up. We had to go back where it all started." I'm like, "Whoa, okay, whoa, go back, rewind, go back to where it started." Okay, now we're okay. Okay, I'll go with this. Let me go ahead and go with it. So then they go to this town, and they start talking. They go into this diner, and the kids already know about the diner because they've heard about this diner and so many different stories about the banana pancakes being the best. And so they start trying to order the banana pancakes, and then the guy starts talking to the diner owner, and he's like, "I don't know who you are. My mother," he was talking about his mother, like, he's like, "Yeah, where's your mother?" And he's like, "My mother's been dead for 20 years. And they're like, "That's impossible. We have left here a few years ago. What are you talking about?" No one seems to recognize his family at all. And I'm like, okay, what's going on here? This is really weird. So then they run into this one professor, and he recognizes them, the only person in town that recognizes them. And so they go to his office, and they start talking to him and explaining everything about their experiences with everybody, not recognizing them. They went back to their mother's house, their old mother's house, and is occupied by somebody else. They've seemed to never even heard of their grandmother. And so the man started acting, he's like, "Well, I'll be right back." And he starts acting really sketchy. The husband kind of catches wind to it, chases him down, and demands to know why is everyone acting so crazy. The guy just got a phone call saying, they're here, come now, hurry up. And he's like, "Who did you just call?" He says, "Oh, you're part of a government secret program that does something to get rid of they're flushing the system, and they're trying to get rid of all the evidence of their doings. You are technically a robot, and you're that little beacon that came on your son was like a beacon to go back to where you originated." And so I'm like, "What?" He's like, "What do you mean I'm a robot?" He's like, "Yeah, your whole family, you're all robots."
Okay, yeah. For what purpose?
I don't know. I'm like, what? Yeah. So, needless to say, I don't think I'll be going with another issue. But Aftershock, you tried.
Yeah. Is that like who wrote that? Like Adam Glass?
Yep. Adam Glass, and then Dennis Calero did the illustrations.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with the artist, but
I'll show you in there. Looks very Valiant-esque looking, kind of, and then
sure.
A little bit old school Avatar press kind of looking at the inside. Wasn't my ideal. Well, I didn't know what to expect. I just wasn't what I was expecting at all.
glad I chose to skip it then, because
yeah.
Wow. Cool. Let's see. I picked up Victor LaVoy's Destroyer.
I thought I had got that.
This is from Boom Studio, issue 1 of 6. I didn't really read the solicitation. I saw the cover and went, I like that cover. I'm going to pick that up, which, of course, that's dumb. You don't judge a book by its cover, right? So Victor LaVoy, I guess he's an author, a writer. Clearly, he wrote a comic book, but I mean, beyond that, he writes novels. Illustrated by Daedrich Smith. It is basically the story starts out. We're in the Antarctic, and Frankenstein, this monster, is sitting on an iceberg out there floating around, and there's like some whales swimming around, and he dives into the ocean to swim with the whales and stuff, and then somebody starts harpooning the whales, and we get a scene of the Japanese whale hunters. Oh, the scientists. I'm sorry, Japanese scientists harvesting whales, and of course, the monster is not happy about the fact that his friends, the whales that he swims with, because he's swimming with them like you swim with the dolphins, basically. He climbs up into the boat, wrecks everybody on the boat, blows the boat up. Well, just across the waterways is basically the sea shepherds, the people out of that are the conservationist people who are always trying to get in the way of the Japanese scientists from harvesting whales. He swims to their boat. They witness this whole thing. They're like in a bit of a panic because, oh gosh. And he climbs up onto their boat and they're like, okay, we're friendly. We don't have harpoons. We're trying to stop them from killing the whales. This one girl on the boat has this large conversation. Man, he looks like Frankenstein. I mean, he's got stitches all over him. He's huge. He's probably 8 foot tall, massive man. They're all in kind of a panic. One of the sea captain calls ahead and say, hey, he's here. I've got him on the boat. When we show up, you better have a small army to deal with him. You don't know what it's about. They get to shore. There is a small army there to try and fight him. The entire time they're on the boat going back to get to like Australia or whatever it is that they're docking at. He's looking at the internet of all the different stuff that's happened because he's been, since his creation way back in the day, he has been separated from humanity, so he has no idea, and of course, people have just gotten more and more awful in his eyes because he's watching internet or just video after video of all the us polluting the environment, us, and it culminates with the last video he sees is some police officers basically shooting some African Americans, everything out at the dock. And you don't know what's going to go on at that point. We cut to the people that the captain called. They call themselves the lab, and they're gathering up these scientists because they've heard the monster's back. They've been looking for thousands, hundreds of years, and they've suddenly discovered the monster. About the time they thought that the monster maybe didn't really exist, lo and behold, it does. They need to gather these scientists up. One of the scientists they go to gather is this woman who is trying to hide from them. She's got an automatic car. She's got this voice that keeps talking to her that's like in the car, kind of calls her mom, this large conversation. She's running from these guys. They're trying to collect her. She gets to like a secret hideout. And she's got like the lost works of Victor Frankenstein. She has like a bunch of his books and stuff, and she's been using some of his experiments along with modern science. And she basically seems to bring her son back to life. And while she's bringing him back to life, he and her are having this conversation about when is it safe to let your kids walk to school by themselves. And she's like, well, we let you walk to school by yourself when you were 10. And he's like, the voiceover is like, yeah, but dad was following me the whole time. And she's like, oh, you knew that? And he's like, oh, kids, we're smarter than you think. And she's like, well, at age 12 is when we really let you walk by yourself. And he's like, well, I don't remember anything past age 12. And she's like, that's because that's when you died. So I don't know if the implication is that he, died of violence, maybe at the hands of police, maybe something like that. I'm not sure. So I like this comic. It's an interesting idea. So Frankenstein is running around here. Here's Frankenstein's monster. He's running around out there doing, who knows what. He does not like man, so I'm betting it's going to be a giant train wreck because humanity has never done, Frankenstein's monster any favors. The beginning part is really dicey. It kind of it jumps around really quickly over that first stuff. I almost felt like I thought, because I didn't know what the book was about. I thought the way it's written, that Victor lines, I thought maybe this was a book and it's a retelling of a book. It's not. But I thought maybe that's what it was at the beginning. And I felt like the beginning, I'm like, wow, they skipped over a lot of stuff really fast. I wonder if this is them trying to get to the good parts of a novel that they're turning into a comic book. That's not the case. That's not the case, but they ramped through the first part of it to get to the more interesting stuff. The conversations with her and her son and this voiceover where she's remembering the son, when he was actually alive and then him being dead. That was all interesting. I'm looking forward to the next issue to see where it goes from there. She's, I think, possibly a descendant of Frankenstein. So I'm curious. I'm curious to see where it goes.
Mm-hmm.
And at the end of it, there's kind of a write-up as to the story, what's his idea behind the story. And, he freely admits that until he was, until like a couple years ago, he never even read Frankenstein. He had just, he watched all the movies, of course, and, he's heard the tales about it. He's heard the tales about, why did Mary Shelley write it and all of that stuff he understood. And then towards the end of it, he talks about with, some of the stuff that's happened with these, the way humanity in his eyes seems to be going with these seemingly innocent people being killed at the hands of police and that sort of stuff, that he felt that he wanted to write this story. So, 6 issues. This wasn't a bad first issue. Like I said, there were some rough parts at the beginning of it. I'm curious enough, though. I like the Frankenstein's monster. I like Frankenstein. I read the book. I like the book. I like plays on that. So I'll be reading it because it hits some of those things I like. It's just like, for me, if you are telling some sort of a Moby Dick story, I'm going to buy it and read it, even if it's bad too. But so I will admit that I'm biased in some sense because I like the Frankenstein monster story and the ideas and the idea of what would Frankenstein be like if he came back. Because basically he went down to Antarctica to get away from humanity because humanity sucks. But now he's back. What does that mean? And what does it mean for this reanimated kid? So, yeah.
That is a definitely dice roll of a book because, all the different ways that can go.
Oh, yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And who, I don't know. The first issue wasn't like super strong. It was fine. Yeah. And it could still really go off a deep end someplace that, that I may not be interested in going. Or it could be kind of cool. It was fun. Like I said, the first part was dicey, but it was fun kind of seeing Frankenstein after they killed the whale. Him the first guy he encounters, because on whaling boats, they have this like ramp they can drag the whales up onto. And so they drag the whale up, and after the whale gets drug up, he comes walking up behind it, and they're talking about their pet dogs, while they're doing this work, these Japanese guys, and then they look like, what the? And the first guy he walks up to, he just grabs hold of him by the shoulder with one hand and literally puts his fist right through him, knocking his heart and rib cage out the backside of him, kind of stuff. So, it's kind of cool violence, but, we'll see. We'll see how it really plays out.
I wish I had grabbed that issue.
Yeah. I really hope everybody had their 3D glasses when Travis did the reach out right there.
Yes.
That was very good.
Get the full effect. Right on.
Yep.
All right, Rez, what else you got? I only got one more book.
Let's see. I have 2 other books, but besides this one, but I don't think they're worth really talking about. Last one is Samaritan Veritas, issue number 1. It's an Image Top Cow book written by Matt Hawkins. And I didn't know really going into this that this was actually super related to Eden's Fall and Postal. So this is related to the whole entire universe. I'm not Postal. Eden's Fall and the Tithe, which I remember reading, but I don't remember really caring for it. So when I started reading this, it just kept making different references to all those 3 books, and I thought to myself, well, I'll be damned, what a way to can you write something that doesn't have to do with the universe, like just write a regular book? So that kind of irritated me a little bit about this book. There were some moments in here I liked where we had this one stupid president in here that she wants to take down and kill. I guess he cheated his way into the office.
What?
So familiar, I know. Sounds and she wanted
impossible. That could never happen.
I know, right? That was one element in there that I liked, but other than that, it was just a story of her being a hacker and trying to figure out a way to take this president down. Otherwise, it's kind of boring. Not really anything super interesting about it, and nothing that's gonna make you have all this gravitation towards it. And again, I think this is tributes to the fact that Matt Hawkins may not be the super strongest writer, and maybe that's just my opinion. Maybe I'm a crazy person, but I don't think he's that great of a writer. I have yet to find something that he's written that I love. Personally, me. But
yeah, I haven't read much by him, so I wouldn't know for sure. But yeah, the whole, clearly that's, fair game right now. Clearly what's happening in the United States, the presidency, depending on what your opinion is of the current president and whatnot, is all fair game to write about and stuff. And there seems to be a lot of it. It's been introduced to a lot of comic books that I read. You know, there's like winks and nods at it. And I'm already starting to get tired of it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want it to be cheap. If you're gonna do it, make something of it. You know what I mean? Instead of it just being kind of a, I don't know. I guess I don't know exactly what I want to say about that, but just that it seems like that a lot of the books I read have been having kind of winks and nods at the current climate, but really do it if you're going to do it, I guess, for me. So
yeah, it just kind of reminds you of the shitty situation we're in at the moment, and it kind of makes you like reflect on it, and even you're like, oh gosh, I was trying to live in in my bubble and not.
Right.
But now you reminded me. Thank you.
Well, so you got the last previews, right? You notice like there's like 3 or 4 books in there that are basically, it has Trump on the cover, and it's like stupid stuff my president says or stuff like that.
It will be a huge omnibus.
I'm like, all I have to do is turn on Twitter. I don't need to pay somebody to reread that horrible crap. I don't know. I just
you're right. It's everything you see, like literally everything you see lately is dealing with Trump.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. It's going to happen. I mean, like him or not like him, he's a polarizing figure. I don't think that's an argument one way or the other. Even if you're a fan of his, I don't think it would be an argument to say that he's not polarizing kind of a person. And so there's going to be that. I totally get it, but I don't know. It just seems like here lately there's just been a lot of nods at it or whatever. But
a lot more than I. I mean, in comics, since the dawn of time has involved politics within.
Oh, sure.
So it's nothing like I can see where you want your comics to be some sort of escapism. You want to escape from the daily realities and harsh realities of what you're going through. So sometimes you want to look at your comics and see adventure and Wonderland, and then you look at it and you're just like, oh God, this again.
Well, it's because it's both. I mean, I read comics certainly for both. I read some comics that are just like the superhero comics largely are pure high fantasy, escapism kind of stuff, and clearly I also read other comic books that are gut wrenching, dripping with situations that are hard to grasp and tangle with and whatnot. So I like the whole gambit, I guess, of it and whatnot. But I don't know, because comics are always a lens to look at society, culture, and pop culture and all that kind of stuff. Some of it is anyway. Always has been.
Yeah. I mean, I think a few years from now, when hopefully we have an actual competent person in office, we'll look back at comics and just see what was going on this time,
Sure.
and kind of I guess just you can appreciate comics for telling little truths in a jokey kind of way,
Right.
Kind of gives you a glance at history and how things went down. I guess that's a good thing about it. I guess you just you could see what people's perspective was, but it just put in a different format.
Right. Sure. The last book that I got to, as far as independent books, is The Old Guard, issue number 4. You quit reading this, right, Rez?
Yeah.
So is this when I tell you all the characters are getting all sexy time together now? No, kidding. It's not happening. It's not happening.
Okay. You always got me there.
No, I mean, so it's more of the same. Our group has they're chasing half of the immortals have been captured. The other half are trying to chase them down and find them. They're kind of, for a while, they stay at our oldest immortals, one of our safe houses, and this person who's just basically discovered that they're immortal, she's like freaking out because she wants to be an art historian. I mean, that was what she was going to go to school for after she did her tour of duty. After she got out of the Marine Corps, she was going to use that to pay to go to art, to go to school to be an art historian. And of course, this woman's place is like full of art. It's like at Rodin's, and there, these sculptures. And it's like, and there's sculptures literally of her, by Rodan. It's like, oh my God, this is like millions of dollars just sitting here. It's this, all this stuff and whatnot. And while she's digging through that, we get this story, more of her backstory of that, of that character, more of her experience. We get to learn about another one of her lovers that she literally lives with in Australia almost to his death. I mean, he becomes a really, really old, guy in that. And so she kind of is remembering to relate with the experience that that this newest woman is going to be going through, of her having to walk away from her loved ones and whatnot. They do this really interesting conversation where she's like, she has a picture of course, her mom, dad, and her little brother. And she's like, you're lucky. I can't even remember what my parents look like. I mean, I have an idea in my head, but I think it's all fiction now. And it's an idealized, this is what my mother looked, because I don't have any pictures. None of the rest of us immortals are new enough for our loved ones to be captured on film. So you will always, as long as you keep that picture safe, you will always, even if you live 400 years from now, you'll always remember what they look like. Where I cleaved on McCullough. And that was kind of an interesting idea. The fact is that so long, they've been alive so long that those original people in your life, you literally cannot remember what they look like because you don't have anything for them. We do get a brief moment of back with the pharmaceutical guy who wants the immortals, because of course he wants to be immortal and sell immortal products. So he's trying to figure that out, and he's torturing the guys to try and get them to talk about it, which of course they don't. They won't give him anything. And then at the end of it, they're trying to capture Kopi, the agent that set this whole thing up and got them set up in the first place. They're going after him. They get to his house. They think they're going to take them over. And then one of the immortals backstabs them. So it ends on kind of a betrayal kind of a thing. I'm still enjoying it. It's not like blowing my socks off, but I'm still really enjoying it. I really like the art. As always, I'm a Fernandez fan. I like his style of art, so that keeps me on the book, even if it's not mind-blowing. But it's interesting. It's interesting to kind of see these, these immortals trying to navigate modern life, because they do kind of tend to become stagnant. I mean, the oldest woman barely knows how to work a cell phone. Just because she just doesn't get the idea of it, kind of a thing. So this newest person is kind of a good thing for them, because she's got a better grasp of the modern world beyond warfare. I mean, all of them are really good at warfare, because that's all they end up doing most of the time. But it's interesting. It's interesting, but not, like I said, not mind-blowing, but I'm so enjoying it. And that is it for the books that I got read as far as indie books. Anything else you want to talk about, Rose?
I guess I could quickly mention that I read Rednecks issue number 2. Yeah, by Donny Cates and Lissandro Esterin. It just, I don't know, something about, as of lately, I feel like I'm getting Donny Cates overload. I hate to say that, but I'm starting to feel like I'm getting overload with Southern Tales. Like he's the king of them right now. Like he's putting a lot of them out, but I think there's too much of them out right now, or it's not enough of a break in between, and it's just too much. Just because it's like,
well, you said Southern Tales. Is that what you said?
Yeah, I mean, like there's some Southern Tales
or what's the deal? Do all the Southern Tales have to be the same?
No, I feel like all his right now at the moment are feeling the same. Like I love Loose Ends. I loved it. Like that was perfect for me. But that wasn't by him, but it was just a perfect Southern Tale. But this for me is not anything nowhere near as great as that was. Nowhere near. Like I wouldn't even put it in the same category, same sentence or anything. But Redneck is just about these vampires that have been, they've reformed, and they feed off of animal blood rather than the human blood. We don't know exactly what the reason is that they do that, but it's not even enough. Intriguing enough for me to continue on to try to find out why they have some kind of truce with another family in town, why they don't kill humans, and why they have this one little child who can read minds. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't really appeal to me anymore.
I think it's hard for me. It's hard to tell a vampire tale anymore.
Yeah,
I mean they've been hit so hard.
I haven't read any good ones thus far. Like, I mean, last good vampire tale that I've read was the Nosferatu one with Ted McKeever. That was obviously very long ago.
Right.
But
Yeah.
I mean, Anno Dracula, I had such high hope for Anno Dracula. I mean, I fell off of that. I've fallen off of this. It's
Yeah, with Rednecks, I didn't get it because, well, the title alone puts me off. I deal with enough rednecks on a day-to-day basis that I wasn't interested in reading a comic book about it. So,
oh yeah, I'm not really a fan of them either. But I got it because Donny Cates drew me to it. I love paybacks, so that was just something that
yeah.
And I love the paybacks. I think it was the art that threw me off of it too. Is I didn't care for the art in that book.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll be picking up his next book from Aftershock Comics. I'm going to pick up Baby Teeth.
Oh yeah, I definitely have that already.
Ordered just to see what it's like. So
Yeah, because anything Baby Teeth, that sounds kind of weird, and I think I'm gonna get it. So I was like, yeah, for sure.
well, nothing's more fun than giving birth to a demonic baby, right?
That's true. That's true. I don't know what's going on as of lately, but there's just a lot of, and then too, I don't like how episodic stuff reads with Image. I'm gonna start kind of slowing down on buying Image books and just wait till the trade comes
Sure.
out. I'm starting to realize a lot of these books just read super quickly compared to other books. Like that Elvis Files one, I mean, same page count, I mean, but it just read longer. And then I read Image book and it doesn't read, but like what, barely even 5 minutes for me, like maybe 3 minutes. I'm like, okay, I'm done. Where's the rest? You know?
Well, yeah, that and some of these books that struggle to come out on a regular basis. I mean, I'm not talking about the planned breaks, but the come out on a regular basis makes it really hard to read them. So what's the reward for those of us who read it in singles versus those who wait and read it in a trade when they can actually get the whole story at one time? One of the things that comes to mind is like Bitch Planet. I really love that book, but it takes so long for a single issue. Even not when it's a planned break. I mean, like I said, I totally get behind I do 6 issues. I take 3 or 4 months off to recharge, have a vacation, get some more, work done, then start releasing again. Fine. That's fine. But give me at least that one arc or whatever altogether when it's, when it's 3 or 4 months between each single issue. Where's the reward to being that, to being a single reader versus the person who can spend less money technically buying that trade and be able to sit down and read the whole story all at once. I love single issues, but there's getting to be some that's kind of like, I don't know, don't know. So
yeah.
Alrighty, any independent-y kind of news or anything else independent book wise we think we want to talk about? I can't think of anything.
I guess beside the whole Sinners thing being re-released, which is, I can't wait. Because I mean, like, I was missing, I think 3 of the back issue zines. So I'm going to get what's coming out, what IDW is going to publish, but I'm going to go back and still see if I can track down those back issues.
Was that a black and white book or was it colored?
Black and white.
It is black and white. Okay, because I saw that the ad they're talking about show black and white art, so I just wasn't sure if it was. I'm
tempted to grab it right now off the shelf and see, but I believe it's black and white.
Okay, well that's cool. That's cool. I don't have a problem with that. That actually makes it potentially more interesting. Alrighty, so no other things we want to talk about independent wise. Let's roll on to DC books.
Sure.
What do we want to talk about DC wise, Mike? Haven't heard you talk for a while.
Batman in the Shadow was, I think, one of my favorites I picked up this week.
Yeah.
I loved with the Shadow playing with Bruce's mind that I was Descartes the entire time, that I trained you, and he's like, no. I just love that he manipulates so many people, and he walks that line of it's just crazy enough to be real, that they do have to question it. So I don't know too much about the Shadow, so it is interesting to learn more as this continues on, and I think it's coming out in a nice. I think it's building on the character nicely.
Mm-hmm. I mean, maybe not a story of any real consequence, because I mean, clearly this is kind of ripped out. It's not part of continuity, as it is and whatnot. It's just a story of combining these two characters together, which I think is great. I mean, I think they're an excellent combination. And and you're right. I mean, I think that's one of the best parts of the book right now is kind of the whole the shadow kind of clouds people's minds, makes you just a little bit confused, a little bit uneasy. You know, even if you're somebody who, you know, kind of with the iron will, a la Batman, you know, you may not be frightened of him, but you're still confused. It still kind of gives you kind of and there's definitely that in the book, and I liked all that. But they also do a good job of hinting at some of the problems that the shadow has. You know, when he's talking to you know, his human helpers, as it were, you know, and they're kind of reflecting back. Look, you have to have some humanity, or you're going to just completely fall apart here, kind of thing. And that is the other side of the coin is that the Shadow Cranston was a pretty evil person. That's why he's the Shadow now. He's trying to atone for all the horrible stuff he did. He was a murderer, a rapist. You know, he you know, kind of ran a small country in Indochina, basically, and did horrible stuff to people. So now he was given a choice of, we're either going to kill you and you're going to basically the equivalent of burn in hell for forever or ever, or you can become, you know, super monk, the Shadow, and right wrongs, you know, rebalance your scales, kind of thing. So that's, you know, he's taken his drive of crime and now turned it over and is pursuing the criminals that he once was.
Yeah.
And they kind of talk about that in here enough to kind of give you a sense of, you know, what that's all like. So,
well, and it's interesting to see him being this anti-balance to Batman. I mean, because of the guns, because of, you know,
right,
being this criminal. Though at the beginning, the one thing that did seem a little weird is as Batman goes to fight him, he puts the mask on from being Bruce to Batman. Right. I'm like, I guess there's a metaphor in there that I just let slip by too easily, but
right. The fact is he's Batman, right? If he's gonna do that kind of stuff, he's Batman, so he has to look like Batman, kind of thing. Because who way up in the French Alps is gonna go, hey, that's Bruce Wayne, he's fighting like Batman. So yeah, right. I mean, there is that. That's kind of strange. I don't know if they do that also, so you recognize, oh, okay, that is Batman. If you visually don't understand that that's the case, except I don't understand how you read this book if that wasn't. So you're right. That is a really odd, you know, kind of an odd moment, kind of a thing.
And I'm sure Rossmo does it to make beautiful Batman art that he can sell for a lot of money. So,
but that could be, that could be. But no, I'm enjoying it. I like the Rossmo art. That's always fun too. Yeah. So, yeah.
And the ending for you?
Oh yeah. See, I don't know how excited I am by that.
Yeah. The simple go-to villain. So
yeah. So I'm hoping that that's not going to be much of a real thing. I think it's just implying that he's in Arkham, because that'd be the perfect place to go to. Yeah. So we'll see.
Yeah, I think when it comes down to, I mean, it's the two heroes versus the two villains, maybe. I guess that's what I was assuming. They were just going to go for the simple plot of it.
Yeah, that could be.
And with Batman having a plethora of so many different great villains, I was really hoping on somebody else, you know, so.
Yeah. Except the Mad Clown is the craziest of the bunch, right?
Yeah, yeah.
I guess. Yeah.
I get. Yeah. I was thinking he has so many that are fear-based, that are confusion-based. You know, mental people. I was really hoping it would maybe go a different way with that, but
yeah.
I play to the Bat fans. You know, get all the big names in there. So
sure.
I'll still pick it up. It's still Rossmo art. So
yeah, yeah. I hear you. So, Rez, got any DC books you want to talk about?
Yes. My favorite DC book of the week, Mother.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Just Young Animal. This was really. It was emotional. It was even more emotional than I mean, it's just getting even more. It's packing a punch. Because we're learning more about her past with this Hauser School, or what is it called?
It's the school. What is it? Yeah,
Hauser's the creator. Sorry.
Yeah, Jody Hauser's the writer of the book. You know what?
with the school, you know,
It's something house. It's something house, though.
Yeah, something house. But yeah, now because we're learning more about this dang on school, I'm like, goodness gracious, they put her through the ringer. Like, and then we see that there's like a little love connection going on between her and the doctor, and the intern guy that she saved. He kind of sees it. I didn't really even catch it. I was like, what? Okay, let me find out. Like, okay, connection. But I really I don't see anything wrong with this issue, besides there's only one thing, that it was that the whole first scene where the little girl, where she watched her parents just get murdered viciously right there by the guy who was wearing a coroner cape. That was weird. It really, there's nothing explained. I'm hoping that they explain the next issue. But other than that, I really like this. I like seeing her cookie mother, you know, saying weird things. You know, the intern, he's a little annoying, but I like the doctor and her. I like her and her relationship between the doctor. I like seeing that we found out this issue that apparently, you know, her being strong, that was due to cybernetic enhancements.
Right. So yeah, we get the confirmed actually in the comic where some of her powers are coming from.
Exactly. So because I didn't know where this was coming. I thought she was just strong. Yeah, we just thought she was just trained physically at optimal strength, but no, she's actually been enhanced. So I really liked finding that out. I'm even more for her. You know, I just really like this character. She's broken, she's strong, she's determined. Very good characteristics. She's just, you know, I like her. I like the comic. Nothing bad to say. It's one of my favorites so far.
Yep, for sure. Mike?
She's got some messed up villains, and I think that's what makes this book so interesting too. I mean, you know, Batman had to build on the idea of some of the characters on 66 and some of the Golden Age, Silver Age. This one just allows you to have an artist who does disgusting things, somebody who's wearing a coroner's bag and sets up weird murder scenes. It's great new take on the idea on what is Gotham. And so I think that's what's also good. The hinting that there's still Batman or Batwoman, where she's like, you deal with yours, I'll deal with mine. I was like, oh, yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely for me, I really like this book. I continue to say it's if we're going to say anything that touches Gotham as a Batman book, this is by far my favorite Batman book. Going to the John Paul Leon art, I really like it. It really matches up with the style of this book. You know, like, you know, kind of like Edwards' art, the original artist of the book did. I think that stuff, you know, really works well. We get the kind of weird imagery of her having these, you know, I don't know. Part of me says that imagery it's in her head. Mm-hmm. And the reason I say that is for this example particular, where she's getting this hug from this girl, and it's the butterfly is stuck in a webbing, you know, a spider's web. So that makes this scene have a whole, you know, who's the butterfly? Who's the spider? You know, kind of thing. But there's more of that in this. It makes sense with this artist, just like it did with Edwards originally. Whereas when we had Sean Crystal doing the kind of weird imagery, it was hard to tell, you know, what was imagery and what was just him making a stylized comic. So that part works in this again, as far as us getting the, you know, the kind of weird moments where we get these flashes of her having other stuff going on. And I just really think a lot of that's in her head. She's just
and we do know that she was very mentally manipulated by the nuns of the house, because we see they give her the gun and she doesn't shoot anybody.
Yeah, of Gather House, I guess is what the place is called, right?
Yeah. But you know what? I look at that the imagery you just showed, and when I look at it, I immediately think that she is the one. You know, she's the web, and she feels like a little girl is the butterfly, and that no one needs to be around her because they could get caught in her web. There, you know, something potentially can happen to them that's not really good. I mean, you know, she keeps herself at a distance when she's around people.
Oh, everybody, yeah. So
that's why I feel like she's the web, and anybody who comes close to her is going to get caught in that web, and it's going to go downhill from there. Also, I have to say about the art, because you mentioned the art being, I honestly, I feel like this matches so much more than all the art I've seen on this from any artist. Like I love the art on this Are they? What do we know what's going on with the artists? Or why is there so much rotations of different artists on this?
Well, because well, it's kind of like modern artists can't do 12 issues a year. They just can't. Not if they want to have like see their children or their friends or take showers or anything like that. So they have to have breaks. So Edwards did the first story. They had Sean Crystal do a little bit there. Leon, who does covers for them lots of times, he's doing like 3 or 4 issues. He's doing this story arc. The next story arc is actually drawn and written by Edwards, the guy who was the original artist for the first bit. He's telling the story and writing. I'm a bit nervous about that because I really like Jody Houser's writing this. I think she's got some really cool ideas, really interesting stuff going on. Yeah. So part of me is a bit nervous because writers normally don't take breaks from their books,
Yeah, what's going on with that?
so I'm hoping that she's back. I'm hoping that doesn't mean the end of her, because like I said, love this book. I love this her take on Gotham. That's so non-romanticized. All the other Bat books, despite how horrible Gotham is, it's all romanticized. Not in this. Drop the F-bomb about Gotham all the time, about how shitty it is, and stuff. So I like all those aspects of it. So, but as far as the artist goes, that's why there's kind of I think that John Paul Leon is a good, he matches up well with what Edwards was doing. Their styles are kind of a little bit alike, so they kind of match up better, I think, visually, for it to not be like jarring or whatever. Mm-hmm. I actually like the Edwards stuff the best, that original stuff better, because he had a little more detail than what Leon does. But I absolutely love Leon's work too, though.
I would still prefer Leon for all the series, but yeah, I mean, I like the original one too. But when this calls to me more, something about it just more aesthetically pleasing for me. But
this was a really good issue, though, because you're right. When you talked about the beginning about there was a lot of emotion in this book, there is a lot. I mean, just that 2 pages where where she goes to talk to that girl, try and get information from her, and find out what happened to her parents, why were they murdered, because she's already rescued this kid once, so now she somehow feels obligated to continue to watch out for this, and she's not sure why. That is, when that girl hugs her and she's just kind of staying there. And then finally she kind of collapses into the hug and kind of hugs her back and says she's sorry. There's tons of emotion there. The interesting conversation that she has with her mom, where she's like listening to her headphones and reading a book, and her mom goes, "Oh, the neighbors are all ugly and dark." And she's like, okay, not a superhero. And she's like, "Yeah, but you still wear the white hat." I mean, I don't know. There's just all this stuff. Her mom is awesome. Her mom, who's kind of somewhat not lucid, but at the same time, she's like extra lucid at the same time. I love all that stuff. So
yeah, it's
this issue. Or, sorry, Russ.
I don't know.
I was just going to say the backup story in this issue finally seemed to take off for me too. The guy who can see through other people's eyes, I thought was kind of a nice jump to make the story get a little better. So
yeah, it's fine. I don't care one way or the other about that story, to be quite honest with you.
Yeah, I was kind of I wasn't sure. Maybe I had something or
yeah, I don't dislike it. I mean, it's interesting. I'm curious to see what happens, but at the same time, it's like if they decided next issue to not finish that story and give me 3 or 4 more pages of Mother Panic, I'd be more than happy with that too. I guess is where I'm at, with that. So yeah.
I would love to see Violet destroy her brother. I would just, I mean, all this pain he's caused her.
Yeah. Oh yeah. By sending her off to the house.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it'll be curious to see what happens with the failing cybernetics too.
Yeah.
So
I want to see more about this doctor, his relationship between her and his doctor, because his doctor just gets up in any whim just for Violet. She's like, I mean, I think she busted in her room and she's like, "I think you need to know the meaning of doors." And then she just
right. Yeah. Remember we had this conversation about knocking? Yeah. She doesn't even acknowledge that. It's like,
no boundaries, right?
I've got a pain. Yeah. Yeah. It's yeah.
And then she leaps up like, okay, like, so there's something there. I don't know.
Well, I mean, I'm assuming that's what she's employed to do too. I mean, she's her personal physician. That's all she does. So
Yeah, I mean, I know, but
There's a lot. Yeah, and you're right. There's just a lot more story with that doctor that'd be interesting to know, right?
Yeah, because the guy hinted at, not being in love with, don't fall for your,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
So that was a door he opened, or a can he opened that I was not prepared for, because I thought, okay, yeah, she's just an employed doctor, but it made her actions seem more meaningful.
Well, sure. There's a potentially another meaning behind them now, right? Yeah.
Yeah, that I didn't see before. There's something there that wasn't there before,
Yep. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I don't know. It's gonna be. I love the book. It's definitely a favorite of mine. So.
Yep.
Let's see. Detective Comics, issue 957. The Wrath of Spoiler. So now we're getting spoiler-centric stories, which I think is good because she's been another character that they really haven't really addressed. So I'm assuming that now that's what this arc is going to be, kind of like the last ones were giving us more orphan-centric. This will be spoiler-centric. Spoiler is coming off of the storyline where the Victim Syndicate, I think is what they were called, basically kind of opened her eyes to all the damage that that Batman and all the other Bat vigilantes, the damage that they do to the innocent people around them. So she's trying to find a way to give back fighting crime to the normal citizen, the average citizen. So in this issue, she works really hard to secretly stop the supervillain Wraith from getting into a confrontation with Batman, and then makes it all look like that the cops did it instead of her. I guess the big surprise is at the end of it. There's a character at the end of it. Anarchy is back and is basically applauding her this new way of approaching fighting crime. So what happens from that, I don't know that we know, but it was okay. I think this issue was originally supposed to be written by Genevieve Valentine, but there was some sort of scheduling conflict, so it ended up being written by supposedly Tinian the Fourth and Sabla. But I think Tinian probably plotted to say, hey, this is the kind of story we want to tell, and I think it's the other person who actually wrote it, because it didn't seem like Tinian's words though either. What do you think, Rez?
I don't like Spoiler at all.
Oh, you don't like the character? Oh, okay.
I don't draw to her. She's not one of my favorite characters. I think her efforts, although she believes in noble, I believe they're selfish, just like Batman's actions are just selfish. She views herself as being the better of two evils. She's like, oh, okay, well, I'm doing something better because I'm giving the Gotham back to the citizens. I'm not the cape or cow. I'm not gonna destroy things in my wake. But I feel like she may believe that she's doing good, but and ultimately, Gotham needs a Batman. Gotham needs that kind of hero for people to look up to. I mean, yes, there's collateral damage, and that's unfortunate, but that happens when you have a city with villains just running loose every so often. I mean, the one guy, Wrath, when he came to announce himself, he's like, I want Batman. I'm owed my duel with you, Batman. Of course he's met with Spoiler, but she doesn't realize that even though her approach was a little different, it's not going to always happen that way. It's not going to always go in this methodical way. And so I think she's going to realize that. And I think too, when they throw in the fact that Tim's still alive, it's gonna wreck her world even more, because she realized that her cause to really make things worse for Batman, to follow his plans, to spoil his plans, spoil them, it's gonna go back and it's gonna blow up in her face. She's gonna realize, oh, I did this all for naught.
Right.
Why did I? What was my real reason? It's gonna all come down and boil down to the fact that she's selfish. She's a selfish person. That she wasn't a team player. Never was. And I don't know. I just she's not likable to me.
Yeah. I can understand that. And yeah, I mean, we're kind of addressing the kind of, seems at this point almost an age-old question, chicken or the egg kind of a deal, in that would all these supervillains be in Gotham if Batman wasn't there attracting them. I mean, because really, Wraith, that's what Wraith is doing. He's taking over a TV station, so so he can get a shot at Batman. I mean, he wouldn't even be doing this crime if Batman didn't exist, because he wouldn't have something to take a shot at. So I think that's the other part of the play on that whole thing, is whether or not that's, part of it. The question of, if there was no Batman, if people just went back to saving themselves, would these villains be around like they are or whatnot? So, which is naive, but
yeah, very naive. I imagine Ra's al Ghul will be the governor. If it wasn't,
well, the whole planet. I mean, Gotham would be burnt to the ground again. It'd be rebuilt.
Yeah.
By now, so yeah.
So I don't know. I just feel like she thinks her plans are noble.
Yeah.
She's gonna soon find out that she's very wrong, and we're gonna have more Batman stories. And I'm noticing lately all the Rebirth books and all these different Batman books they're showing Gotham in this light where it's just they want to illustrate how horrible it is to live in Gotham, how infested it is. And I don't know why, but I just didn't get that feeling when I read earlier Batman books. I felt like Gotham, and even movies, when you look back on the movies, yeah, it was bad, but she didn't feel like it had this infestation, but now you read these books and they're super gritty. It's beyond gritty. It's like, wow.
Yeah, that's definitely at least been that way since the New 52. When Snyder took over writing the book, it's basically been nonstop invasion of Gotham.
Yeah.
Some supervillain isn't just out robbing a bank; they're trying to burn the entire city to the ground.
Yeah,
it seems to be pretty much nonstop. Yeah.
So I don't know. I feel like with this world that they're shaping together for Batman, I think that Batman is definitely needed at this point. Yeah.
Well, it's going to get all darker too because of the events that they have coming up. The dark metal or whatever the heck it is. They're doing a whole thing where clearly it's going to get darker and more depressing and a more vicious kind of a thing. I'm not getting any of that stuff, but we'll see how it all plays out. So
yeah.
Looking at the comments really quick, and Ryan Salone, I butcher your last name, I'm sorry for that, says he wishes they would take the Rebirth banner off the books already. I hate to break it to you, Ryan, but the New 52 banner stayed on the DC books until Rebirth started. So my guess would be is we're going to see those Rebirth banners probably for a couple more years until they, relaunch everything else or finally decide that it's no longer Rebirth. I don't know.
What do you think the new one will be called after Rebirth?
I hope there isn't anything. I hope at some point that branding falls away and we just have comic books again.
Yeah.
Because if they have to rebrand it again and again, I mean, they don't do it as fast as what Marvel has been doing it, but it will start to hurt the whole brand, I think, because after a while you just get fatigued with everything starting over all the time. So
yeah.
I don't know. But I guess for me, it doesn't bother me so much because it's clear at the top. It's taking this much of my cover. Quite honestly, normally the movie ad, which shockingly this cover doesn't have the movie ad on it. That's really weird. But the movie ads bug me more than that banner across the top. Because I guess with this banner across the top, it gives them time to have a title. And that cues me in on, is this an arc or is this a whatever? I kind of like having the title on the outside. I don't mind that. So right now I'm not minding the drapery with the Rebirth thing there when I get that title across the top of it.
Mm-hmm.
As opposed to the character word bubbling, whatever the story is, kind of thing on the cover. So, yeah. I held up Batgirl, so I did read this. Partially, I wanted to make sure I get ready, even though no one else reads it. Because if anybody watched my last video when I was talking my comics, I pointed at this and go, "Oh, is that Mother Panic down there?" No, that's the Son of Penguin. That's Black. That's Black Sun. He has a jet bikey kind of thing that he flies around on in it. So it wasn't a crossover. But I still really enjoyed the book. This was the end of the Son of Penguin arc. The Son of Penguin basically uses data mining and social media and that sort of stuff to kind of control people ultimately, and is trying to early retire the Penguin and take over everything. He was going to bill himself to the common person as being the hero because he was data mining for them and basically going to turn Burnside into the perfect city for everybody. Get rid of the homeless, get rid of the jaywalkers, get rid of the pigeons, the parks, whatever, anything else everybody else complains about. And so to the common man, he would be the hero, and to the villains, after overthrowing the Penguin, they would all see him as being the ultimate kingpin of the villains and allow him to basically run everything, kind of thing. It doesn't work out that way. Batgirl lures him into the city park in Burnside, which has a thick canopy of trees. The Wi-Fi sucks there, so his super suit doesn't work, so he can't data mine. And she kicks him once and it electrocutes him because he didn't design the suit to get into combat, because he has all of his minions that he can control to do combat for him. So he didn't think that part through. So he gets like viciously burnt up. I mean, she has to fire extinguish him to put him out. So he's left in a hospital with like, third-degree burns on 90+% of his body, kind of a deal. Penguin steals him at the very end of it and says, I hated you when you were a pretty boy. I couldn't relate with you whatsoever. But now that you're completely, scarred and all I can see is your eyes, I see the genius that you are. I'll nurture, I'm kidnapping the best plastic surgeons as we speak. I will get you back on your feet and we will work together. And she's back to, in her daily life, she's back to being roommates of Frankie. Frankie's relationship with whoever it was that she was dating didn't work out. So they're becoming roommates together. Burnside is becoming less gentrified again. Now it's kind of going back to being kind of just a normal place to live. Yeah, I'm enjoying it. I'm really liking it. Like I continue to say, I really like Hope Larson's take on Batgirl. I think it's really enjoyable. The new artist, Wild Goose, is interesting and entertaining. I like his facial features, is the smirks and frowns and stuff that he gives Barbara. Just a lot of fun and whatnot. And I'm kind of looking around. I was looking to see if I had any New 52 books just kind of kicking around. I don't right offhand because Ryan was asking. The New 52 banner took up a lot less room, didn't it? And to be quite honest, I do not remember if it did or didn't. I think after a while, it just because of those things, I just don't even pay attention to it really being there. Do you remember, Mike?
No, not right offhand. I was going to try and Google it real quick.
It did
I don't.
a little bit less room than that. The 52 did take a little bit less room than the DC Rebirth banner.
Because it was one corner. Was it one corner and then the other corner was the DC? Was that how it was? So it didn't take that middle part?
Yeah. I have quite a few DC 52 books. I don't read them, but I have.
I have a lot and I've read them, but I don't remember what that looked like on the cover, I guess, off the top of my head. So
I wasn't a big fan, though, of a lot of the covers that they did release with DC 52. Seemed like they're a little lazy at some points.
Yeah, well, I'm kind of the opinion that it would be nice not to have any of that kind of stuff. I'm annoyed with the Image books having that round 25-year thing on it too. I mean,
they're really excited about it. It's like someone who has instead of having a birthday day, they have a birthday month or something. The whole entire month is their birthday kind of thing.
Yeah.
All right. Well, what I pulled up real quick was this old familiar one, so it kind of gives you a little bit of an idea, at least on this issue.
Yeah. So you're right. It does take up less room, all in all. Yeah, agreed. It definitely does. I guess I like that banner at the top, like I was saying, because of the title thing that they can put in there, but they can put that in there and get rid of the Rebirth thing. I just don't think it's going to go away anytime soon, just because of how long it was on the New 52. Because I remember us being 40+ issues in, almost 4 years into the book, going, how is it the New 52 still? When it's been around for 4 years, but yeah, I don't know. But I'm hoping they don't relaunch again. I hope it just kind of fades away to whatever. I'm hoping that it doesn't become a kind of thing. I was looking to see, of course, Young Animals don't really have anything other than their own little, imprint kind of a deal there. So it's not.
Yeah,
I guess
I can see what you mean. Like on my
Yeah.
Rat Queens, I got the stamp.
Yeah, and that wasn't. They didn't have the big image thing. It would just be like an eye, a simple eye in the corner, and
Yeah.
now they've expanded it. I don't know. You're kind of paying for that art on the cover too, right? So, um,
And of course, since you held it, I mean, and this one you get, good old Jack in there and
Right.
everything else. And
well, but I guess I'm of the opinion, however big this part of the title is, anything
Yeah.
that's off to the side isn't cutting out art. Because
yeah,
I mean, so not having Jack in there, okay, I get to see like a quarter of an inch more tree trunk.
yeah.
So what, right?
Well, and like you mentioned, I like this now where they put, this is 5 of 12,
Right.
and having chapter 5 on there, it is nice. I like this a little additional spot right there.
Yeah. I don't, I guess I don't, as long as the art is designed with the understanding of them knowing where the banner's going to land at, it does not bother me. It's when they create a piece of art and then they throw enough banner over the top of it that I feel like I've lost something significant,
Yeah.
or something else around it is on it that cuts into that. That's frustrating. I would love for the darn barcodes to go to the back of all of the comics. A lot of the independent comics that's a pretty significant chunk of whatever that would be nice to not have on there. But yeah. So when it's art that's made specifically for a particular comic, it works because the artists understand I've got this segment up here that's going to be blocked. When it's some comic books for the big two, it's stock art. They just paid artists to crank out some Superman, some Batman, some Wonder Woman looking stuff. And then they just, pull it out of a stock drawer. They may have been sitting on the piece of art for 2 years, pull it out and use it. Then sometimes it doesn't match up with that, and that's a problem. So.
Yeah, I think our biggest complaint with DC during that time, if I remember me, you, and Luke talking, it was like the Suicide Squad movie or the Batman versus Superman.
That was huge.
Those are always like the biggest ones on the bottom. Yeah.
Yeah, and the Wonder Woman one isn't too bad. It's all tucked off in a corner, kind of thing. But oh yeah, those huge movie banners were ridiculous. That's for sure. Yeah. Okay, so want to talk some Commandy Challenge?
Yeah.
My first question before we really get into this: did this drop in price?
I want to say I thought it was just the first one that was like $6, and then all the rest are $3.99.
Really? I thought the last one I bought was $4.99 and a little thicker. Okay, I'll look to see. I don't know. It just struck me as that it seemed lighter than what they normally were. Anyway, go ahead.
Maybe it really felt like this was written from last page backwards, because I mean we get it is supposed to be a cliffhanger, and it is one big cliffhanger. But I mean, when I started reading it, even coming off the last cliffhanger, it was one big yawn all the way to the last page.
Oh, really?
I love the art, but I did not like William's stories. No.
I guess what I liked about it is, to me, the last 2 issues, the first issue introduced the tree lady and some of that kind of stuff. And then it really felt like the next issue, they tried really hard to stay as close to the last people's story as they could. Whereas Willingham just went, F this, I'm not writing your story. runs them off a cliff, and then quickly starts to tell his own story. Now, super exciting? No, probably not. It felt like a lot of setup to get to that last page.
Yes. Yeah.
But I think a lot of that is the nature of what this book is set up as, the Commandy Challenge, the fact that you're only writing one issue and you're supposed to set the next person up to do whatever kind of a thing.
Orlando and Tan, you got to grab the next issue, because it is like smashing the person next to you's hand when they have to go bowling. I don't know how you recover from that point.
Yeah, they really threw him under the bus. That's for sure. It'll be awesome to see exactly what how that plays out. I don't know if all those pumps are keeping them not totally dead yet. I don't know.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It looks so good. The one thing is, I love the art throughout this whole thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Rice's work.
Can you show me some of the art in there?
Yeah. Ivan Rice is the penciler, and Claire Albert did the inking on it with Massaro Morello is the colorist, is a great colorist and whatnot. Let's see here. Yeah, I mean here's a page of our sea dogs. They're on a ship. They're on a ship with a bunch of animals. They're pirates. Kind of a thing. So, God, one of the best pages is that last page.
I know. We should just tell everybody look away that doesn't want to see it because it is so good. So
Here, this tiger guy who used to be a pro wrestler is now a private detective. He jumps off this cliff and dives into the water to get away because it's going to be easy. And this damn giant, like, I don't know, gar or
Piranha.
well, like a piranha. It's got big spiky teeth. I don't know. Whatever. Some giant fish tries to eat him. Kind of a thing. But yeah, if you don't want to know what goes on in this book, you need to look around because I'm going to show the last picture because
the Roaring Raja.
Here's this mercat who is it's a lemur. This lemur is doing some work. He's got a 3D printer for organs, except he has to have an original before he can print new organs. He's never had a human before, so he needs the human's organs so he can print new ones. Bummer, Commandy, because you're the only human around. So he's really great looking. I mean, he's a great looking character. But yeah, this is what we're left with.
Oh my God! Oh no!
He's literally. So I take it you decided to quit reading it, Rez?
I can't believe I did. Oh my! What is wrong with me? Why did I stop?
So literally, all the organs are pulled out. Like his lungs are already in a vat. I think that's his heart in the lemur's hand.
Yes.
I think like the liver is laying there on the table. But man, isn't that an awesome looking picture?
This can't be real. Please let it be a dream sequence by next issue.
That's an awesome piece. Well, that's what the writer can get their way out of it. Oh, you ate some bad chili and you had this horrible dream.
Yes, please let me dream. Please let me like a Dallas dream.
You can see, I could just imagine in the discussions if they're all sitting around the table, one guy goes, I'm going to end it because there's going to be an atomic bomb and I'm going to push him off a cliff. Well, I'm going to rip out all of Commandy's organs.
Yeah, I would have liked to have seen the original response of Tinian the Fourth. Of course, he's the next writer. When he got the script, telling you what that was, like, you sons of bitches.
He's just a boy.
Isn't it Tan?
I thought it was Orlando and Tan.
Oh, you're right. It is Orlando. That's right. It's not Tinian. It's Orlando. Yes, it'll be awesome. It would have been great to have seen Steve Orlando's face when he was given that script, telling him that the Commandy's been gutted. It's like, yeah. The cover for the next issue looks awesome too. Because I mean, here's this, like, I don't know. It looks like walking away. It looks like a giant, almost like Godzilla, but it looks like it has buildings on it. So it reminds me of the Monty Python skit. What is it? It was it was Time Bandits with giant, that pirate that's got the ship on his head. Walking. Anyway, kind of reminds me of that. But clearly he's alive there, so it's all good somehow. Somehow it all works out. Clearly they aren't going to spend 8 issues with him gutted. So
Weekend at Bernie's now. Yep.
I tell you, I'd be impressed if that's the case. If they spend most of the issue with him dead, dragging his corpse around, that would be pretty awesome.
Well, and he lost his flower girl. That was the thing.
I was kind of happy about that.
Oh, you didn't like the I Am Groot where she does the protective circle around him?
Right? No, I didn't. It turns into a boat for a while. No.
Yep.
So I'm glad she's gone because I actually like Flower from the original Commandy story. I like her being a human who can't talk. She's one of the actual humans of the time, and Commandy is a human out of time.
Mm-hmm.
Now he's just the only human. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I know he's the last boy on Earth, but he wasn't, kind of, at the same time.
Yeah.
So I that was interesting, him dealing with. Plus the fact that I just wanted to see them draw this naked lady all the time and have her hair hanging just right constantly to keep her nipples hidden all the time. I don't know. But so,
Kirby magic.
so I'm okay with the plant lady being gone. So yeah. Alrighty, any other books we want to talk about? I have one more.
That was it for me.
Wonder Woman. So this is Wonder Woman, The Truth. This is issue number 23, and we start to get tons of answers. We find out exactly why it is that Wonder Woman's had this blip in memory, this whole confusion that she's had since the whole rebirth stuff has started, where she feels like she's kind of been lied to, like somebody stole some of her memories or that sort of stuff. Thank God it's got nothing to do with a doomsday clock or a smiley face button with a drop of blood on it or nothing like that. It has to do with the fact that her own patrons, her own patrons, the gods, kind of pulled some memories from her because they were concerned she was getting too close to the truth. And when she got too close to it, they were afraid that she would just bust in. Because what has happened is they've captured Ares. Ares is trapped in kind of an in-between universe. And because he had gotten so far out of control that he was raging so much that he was gonna annihilate the planet. And everybody was going to be dead on it, basically, because everybody was going to be at war and basically kill themselves off. So the Greek gods created some golden shackles, and they had his wife Aphrodite go down and calm him long enough to put these shackles on. Not that the shackles actually hold him in place, but they symbolize that shackling, which gave him time to calm down, shut down, and not be this raging monster anymore. So he's hiding in this place. His sons, the two guys that basically took the doctor's daughter and wiped her face away and are trying to force the doctor, along with Cheetah, to open up Themyscira for him, because they don't really want Themyscira. They have to go through Themyscira to get to Ares. Basically, Themyscira was created as a buffer to Ares, because they don't want Ares broken loose again, because it'll be all madness. So they worried that if Wonder Woman knew some part of that she would bust through to find out for sure, and that would open it up and cause the spill and all this horrible stuff to happen. So, but they get there. The two sons actually get to Themyscira. They wreck a bunch of them, and Wonder Woman has to save the day, and she does. Love saves the day by the end of the book. Literally, love conquers all with a magic lasso kind of thing. I liked it. I really liked it. I like the idea of why it is that she's had this spot, why she can't go back to Themyscira, because if she goes back to Themyscira, she opens up the door also, which lets him out, so she can't cross through to do that. I like that sentiment. I like the fact that they went back to her not having to be a savage to win, that love actually wins out. Cheesy, corny, call it whatever you want to. I liked it. I liked the story and whatnot. I think we got a couple more issues to kind of clean up some things, and then we move on to the new people doing whatever's next. So, but for me, this really started to pay off with this. We get the answers. I'm happy with those answers. So cool.
How do you think it's gonna fare when Rucka gets off?
I don't know. I think it's going to take a huge hit, because I think a lot of people are just going to get off it because him and those artists aren't on anymore. That people are just going to instinctively go, "Oh, it can't be as good. I'm going to get off." I want it to be good. I'm apprehensive. I'm quite frightened. The last great Wonder Woman run that I was on, when the creators left the book, it took such a horrific downfall that I don't know. I can't imagine it being that bad, but we'll see. I'm going to stick with it. I love Wonder Woman as a character, so I'm sticking with the book until I'm proven that it's bad. It would just be hard. I think it's hard to, even if this wasn't the greatest Wonder Woman story, and I'm not saying it is, these creators that are on the book are so loved. I think fans love the idea of Greg Rucka on this book so much that even if it isn't his best stories, that it's going to be hard for anybody to follow that up. I don't care who you are. You could be some other great writer, and I think you're going to struggle some just because of how much these creators are fan favorites. To suddenly have somebody else come and do the book, I think it is going to be hard. I wouldn't want the job. Mm-hmm. Who am I kidding? Yes, I would, but I'd be scared. I'd be scared to death I was going to fail the entire time, just because the fan base would lash out against it because it's not what they have. And with the way the current social media climate is with fans, I'm hoping Wonder Woman fans aren't those kinds of asshats that would be awful to the next creators that are on the book, but we'll see. I'm trying to keep the bar low and just go, as long as it's not an awful Wonder Woman story, I'm going to be happy to start out with, and then be surprised if they outperform the low bar. So
does this give Wonder Woman a set origin, or does it still leave it up for whatever writers want to use?
well, like any comic book like this, right? The next writer could come along and rewrite the entire thing if they wanted to, right?
Because I didn't know if it reset it to 52 then, or if they're saying the 52 Chang run was the hidden memories or the interfered.
You can.
Okay.
It doesn't nail it down that much, Mike. It doesn't go, this thing when you were living in London and you were protecting Z and her kid. It doesn't nail that down to say that didn't exist or that was planted memories or whatever. It doesn't nail it down that much. It just nails down, basically, from my reading of it anyway, that all that fogginess she was having about not knowing what was and what is, was because they kind of manipulated some stuff, because she wasn't supposed to know that, how to get back to Themyscira and all that stuff, because if she were to do that, she would open up this hole and let Ares out, basically, and unleash him on the world and devastate everything. And the fact that really the reason Themyscira exists, they get to live in paradise. They get to live in love and peace. They train for war, but there never is war, because they are literally sitting on the doorstep of Dor. They are the plug that is holding it all in. And if they're suddenly gone, wiped out or whatever, it unleashes all that stuff. And so that's why she's got that foggy place. They had to take enough stuff away from her to make her not know. So, but no, it doesn't actually say this is canon and this isn't canon anymore. As far as, is she the daughter of Zeus, or was she made from clay, or whatever the case is? That's still, people can still play with that if they want to, if it matters. Some people it doesn't, some people it doesn't. So.
Okay.
Yeah. Alrighty. Any other DC books? No? DC news? We here at the round table are completely losing our shit over the idea that Wonder Woman, that they would have a Wonder Woman showing with just women. That's horrible. I mean, that's one of the big things I've been hearing about now. Of course, there is a one individual movie theater in a chain of movie theaters that for one showing is going to have, actually doing two now, because the first showing sold out instantaneously. As fast as they put the tickets out, the entire place was filled. And so they did a second showing of Wonder Woman someplace in like Dallas, Texas, something like that. Someplace in Texas, I know for sure. Where it's an all-woman showing of Wonder Woman. Awesome.
Love it.
It's the snowball effect. See, next, it's Y the Last Man. I mean,
oh my God.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I just don't see why people are upset over it. Who cares? I mean, it's like I can be pissed off the night that I wanted to go, the time I wanted to go watch the movie. Mike's damn comic book shop bought the entire theater out that time, and they're only letting comic book fans that come in and buy the tickets for them to go to it, right?
Yeah. Yep. In fact, our shop got threats. People said they hoped it would burn down because of it. Yeah.
That's crazy. People are they're demented.
But I'm just saying it's the same. It's the same thing. It's just those comic book readers from Mike's comic book shop, as opposed to whatever women want to go to it.
So yeah, you couldn't go to the 7:00 show. You were unfortunately had to go to the 7:10 show, or the 7:30, or the 7:45, or the 8 show. But you could not go to the 7:00 show. Yeah.
You suck.
Yes. Me personally.
Yes. Well, clearly you're partially personal. You quit buying the tickets, they quit doing it.
Yep.
Well, I think it's crazy. It's crazy. And that people are losing their mind over that is ridiculous. Mm-hmm. Good for them. I've heard nothing but good stuff about the movie, the people that have seen it in advance. And I've been trying to find somebody who had bad things to say about it. So I'm excited.
I heard a bit.
I worry I'm not going to get to see it opening night though, because it conflicts with other stuff I go on. So I'm hoping there's an early showing here in my town, so I can actually see it Thursday night as opposed to Friday, because I won't be able to watch it Friday if it's on Friday, and that'll bum me out. I'll have to cancel the round table on Saturday so I can go to the movies.
Yep.
Hey, you got to do
I will actually be running late. I'm not going to the Thursday show. I'm going to the Saturday show. So,
Oh, okay.
if you do go Saturday, I will also be late. So,
Okay. Sounds good. That's a good excuse. I'll let you come late to go see Wonder Woman.
Because I was told to go later because Barbara Minerva did take my seats for the other showing. So.
Oh, okay. Well, jeez.
Yep.
I wouldn't argue with her.
No.
At any rate, so I haven't heard any other real DC news. I mean, I keep hearing kind of more hintish stuff about the events that are coming up for DC, the black metal, and that whole thing it's all in continuity. I've heard Snyder say it's all in continuity. The whole universe is going to get this whole whatever. I am so put off by all that stuff now. I'm not getting any of it. And normally Batman centric event type stuff I tend to get. I'm not getting it. And it's supposed to create its own kind of branch universe. I mean, there's supposed to be this, characters and ongoing books spin out of this. I don't know that I'm touching any of that. I'm certainly not, like I said, I'm not touching the event parts at all. I've just decided I'm not doing them for anybody, any company. I'm not doing them.
I don't know that we.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say I don't know that we mentioned it last time, but Snyder's having to step away from the Justice League movie due to the death in the family.
Yeah, right.
And him and his wife, I think, both work on Justice League, and so they had an older child who passed away from suicide, and they tried to work through it, and they needed time to grieve, and so they stepped back, and Whedon is just going to polish the very end of whatever's left on this movie.
Production, yeah, I saw that.
Yeah. Horrible.
Mm-hmm.
Horrible. So I don't know. I mean, I don't know if that slows the movie down or not. I hadn't heard that it did, though, right? I mean, that's why they stepped away, is to keep it from becoming a problem.
Yeah, and I think at this point it's just the technical fixes. So
they're more on the editing end of it as opposed to the real directing of it.
And I'm sure everything he wanted is laid out. So
I think it's going to be good, anyways.
Yep.
I don't know. I'm looking forward to seeing it, but pretty tough. Any other DC-ish kind of news? Oh, I can't think of anything. So on to Marvel, which is going to be great. Me and Rez are going to kick our feet up and drink our drinks.
Both of you speak first,
and we're going to drink our drinks and go do whatever else. While Mike just finishes the show out because I didn't get any Marvel this week. Go ahead, Mike.
All right, haters. Boom! Infamous Iron Man to start out with. I'm just loving this one to death. I mean, once again, it's just that villain trying to be a hero idea. Victor Von Doom in the Iron Man suit. It starts out with Riri Williams, the new Ironheart Iron Man, landing in Latveria. She wants to find out what's going on with Victor, Mr. Doom, Dr. Doom, why he's doing what he's doing. She's scanning the building. It still has Tony Stark running her AI in the suit. Even though, and I'm glad, the Secret Empire is not touching this at all, evidently.
Nice.
I believe this is issue number 8. I think it's going to end, though, on number 12 from some solicits that people have been looking at. So I'm kind of sorry about that. I'm guessing that's when they jump into the
Legacy stuff.
Thank you. Yes, Legacy. So Riri is checking out the castle. It's all been destroyed. And then she sees Doom sitting on a throne, and he's talking with her, and he's like, I'm glad you're here. I wanted to talk with you. And she's like, take off the mask, because she thinks this is a Doom bot. This is something, we've all been tricked by Victor. He takes it off, and she's like, "Well, this is weird now." And the AI in the suit's like, "Take off, fly. You're gonna die. You cannot fight him." And she's like, "Why are you doing this? This is an affront." He goes, "I'm doing it the same reason you're doing it. I'm doing it to honor Tony."
Mm.
And it's just so weird to see that, to see her struggling with, "I've only known you as a villain. I'm a 15-year-old girl who's stepping into this hero, just becoming the new Iron Man woman." Um, and it's just great to see her interaction. And he's like, "There's something going on where I saw a bit of the future, but I'm having trouble reestablishing it. I need you to shoot me with a level 9 out of 10 with your, plasmas."
Mhm.
And she's like, "I'm not sure about this." And the AI and it's going, "Shoot him. Just shoot him right now." And so he puts
Level
the face.
10, level 10. Yeah.
Yep. And she blasts him, and he goes into this future thought again. And she keeps blasting him until he regresses back. It was an interesting discussion between the two of them that, um, he needs to do this. I was enjoying it. There's also a story where you see Ben Grimm has, in his apartment, met Reed Richards again. Reed Richards, Sue have been gone since Secret War 2.
Right.
And they're trying to figure it out. And of course, so Ben doesn't want to believe it's Reed Richards. We do know as readers that the Maker, the evil version of Reed Richards, is on this world, that he's working with Victor Von Doom's mother, and that, so there's some other plot. So obviously, as readers, we're like, this can't be him. He's trying to fool him. He tells this elaborate story to Ben that only Reed Richards would know. There's a nice little fight, and then of course they cut away from that. We get back to Doom. He's in the future. He's trying to figure out what's going on, and I am going to spoil it, so please look away. He comes across a figure who is this gentleman.
Nice.
And the thing is it looks like the Sorcerer Supreme, but it's Tony Stark.
Really? Oh, wow.
Yeah. And so, it's Maleev's art. So, it's a little tough to interpret, when you're looking at it. I'm like, well, they both kind of look somewhat alike. But yeah, so it's interesting to see how this is going to wrap up, how this is going to change, what they're going to do. Does this set up, of course, for another Marvel event a year from now that we've been promised?
Right.
So, I don't know. It was just, like I said, it just continues to be one great book. So
it sounds really cool.
Yeah.
It sounds really cool, and nothing that I would have picked up without hearing about it.
yeah,
But now I'm gonna have to do some hunting around, either if I can get some cheap singles on the trade.
and I purchased it because of the Maleev art. I just had read about some of his stuff or saw his stuff, and I really enjoyed it. It's Bendis. Bendis can go either way, but of course they let Bendis do whatever Bendis wants in Marvel.
Mhm.
And he's pounding out a great story. So
I like the villain redemption kind of story, or attempt at redemption with no one believes you. I like that story anyway. I'm a sucker for that initially. So I guess it being Iron Man, I wouldn't even look at the solicitation for it to even register that was the kind of story that was going to be told. Otherwise, I probably would have been on it, because I like that. That's some of the the elements of like the Secret Six that I liked, was them struggling to try and, we're not really that bad. We're just trying, we've been labeled that way and we're kind of stuck there right now. Yeah. And Doom is a pretty complex individual anyway. With all the stuff he always has going on. So yeah, really cool.
And as readers, we keep seeing it, like the Children's Crusade and Secret Wars 2 and all these things where even if he did somehow want to do it, there's still that little piece in him that's like, I'm a child and I want what I want, or I am still like a god that I know
better
more
than
than
everybody
else.
Yeah. I'm better than everybody else, so clearly I should be in charge. Yeah.
Yeah, and so he doesn't even see that as he tries to do these things, because it was like I always say it. I think it was issue 2 or 3 where he goes to destroy all these robots, and then he inadvertently saves 2 guys, and then he realizes, oh, I need to make sure that those 2 guys get out of the place and don't get killed by any of the residual damage.
Right.
And it's things like that because he doesn't think like a hero. There's no sacrifice. There's none of that. He has
Mhm.
to remember what everybody before him did.
Yeah.
So, that's the part I love is Bendis figured that out. So,
Cool.
um, my other book is Elektra. This is another the Daredevil split. Um, while the Kingpin story has been going great, this one it has been interesting until it got to this point. Arcade is that villain they keep trying to make. They did a decent job in Avengers Academy and Avengers, all the ones with the kids where in Avengers Arena was where he was the really big villain. They gave him like magic and all this technology, and I don't, he's supposed to be super rich, but even with that, I mean, if you took everything away, he's kind of a miserable villain. He's got Elektra in this wonderful game he's playing. This one, I've been buying it for the Cabal art. I've been loving it. I've been showing pictures on Twitter. But there's also a Mraz doing the art also, and he definitely did not do a very good job with this book. It was getting into like this the tail end of uh, clean room art. Some of the art reminded me of that, where it all of a sudden switched over, and I'm like, oh, this is not the art I bought. This is second to the last, I think, because I believe it says to be concluded. So this one's wrapping up, and it's good. It was a nice little run. I like Elektra. I always wish good things for her, but unless somebody goes deep with her, there's not going to be much. And
Right.
since they're trying to build up Arcade instead of building up Elektra, it was fizzling out. So this one doesn't explore the last issue where she's meeting with Matt and she's trying to save people's lives, and she thinks the only way to do so is to kill the villains. She's pretty much given up on that whole division in her head on, can I be a hero? Can I only save people? Do I have to be a killer? And with the art changing, it didn't make me want to read it any further either. So,
Right.
and that was it for my Marvel, just the two. So,
All right. Okay. Marvel news.
nothing I can think of.
Was that Snickers ad real?
No, I don't believe so. It was something that somebody threw on Facebook,
Okay.
and so yeah, I kicked it over to Twitter. So
Yeah. Like share
no,
with me
I
on
didn't
Twitter.
find it.
On Twitter, Snickers, commercial where it's Sam Wilson handing a Snickers to Steve Rogers and say, "Here, Steve, you need to do this," and he's like, "Why?" And he says, "Because you're
You get angry Hydra when
you
you're
get
hungry.
angry, you get angry Hydra when you're hungry, and are you better? Yeah, better." Like, oh my god, they didn't actually
And they
do that,
changed
did they?
the images. Yep.
Yeah, I was gonna say, wow, that's pretty
Well,
awesome.
that's just the thing too, because I was like, oh, that would be how Spencer would say. See, I told you the whole time. It's
Yeah.
same cap, and
right. It's like,
and of course we've
wow.
seen those weird ones, like I'm trying to think of what was the one with the Power Man. Each time we'd see Luke Cage, and we're like, why is the art different in my book? And it looks good, but it's like a Twix commercial or something weird like that.
Well, there was the shaving cream one.
That's the one.
You open it up and it's Power Man, Luke Cage shaving cream ad. Then it goes into the regular book. Yeah, I don't know if that picks up on my thing there, but yeah, tell about the right. You can't really read it, but at any rate, yeah. So whoever did that, whoever manipulated that, nailed it, because it's pretty funny. I mean, and horrible at the same time. So yeah,
that's why we're going to an extra issue.
There you go. Oh, that's why. Yeah. Alrighty. Well, no news. Anything else we think we need to touch on before we call it a night? No. Okay. Thank you guys for coming on and talking comics with me. Sorry I didn't get them all read, but it was a busy week for me. Hopefully, I will go back to having my comics on Friday. That'll make my life a lot simpler. So
next week is week 5. I think I only have 1 or 2 books at most. Also,
Yeah, it's week 5. Hardly any comic books come out in week 5, right? That's why I've got like 16 coming.
Yeah, all right. Your Independence, yeah.
Oh.
I didn't even check. I didn't even check
Well,
it. If I,
you know, I think there's like some. I'm thinking my order has like some annuals in it from
Oh,
DC too. You know, because that's the other time they release those
Yeah.
stinking annuals is when. And I think I got to have those for my entire thing. So,
You're
you
the
know, so
collector.
Doctor Strange comes out, Hulk comes out,
Oh, Hulk. Yep, that was my one.
Trinity annual and Wonder Woman annual are the 2 annuals. But yeah, otherwise it's all independent books. Saga, so it's gonna be a big week for that as far as that goes.
yeah, Saga. This one, I guess, Killer Be Killed.
Yep. Yeah, there's some good stuff gonna be coming out. I'm glad it's a smaller week though. So
Yeah, it's gonna be small for me as well.
it's all good. It's all good. So we'll come back and talk comics next week. Maybe we might be late because we're all gonna be out, you know, bouncing bullets off of our bracelets and you know, whatever. But we'll be here in some sense. I'm betting. So anyway, like I said, thank you guys all. Thank you for those of you who watched tonight. Always appreciated. Anybody who watched this after the fact, that's always appreciated too. Comment if you like. What did we miss? What didn't pick up? Are we completely wrong on our takes of comics? Clearly, me and Rez need to read a lot more Marvel because we don't read any. It seems like, but yeah. Let us know.
Well,
Let us know one way or the other. What's that, Mike?
Yeah, I got 200 more Marvels I have to purchase before Stan Lee drops the restraining order, so that's why I'm.
Oh, okay. Okay. Good. Get on that, man. Get on that.
Yep.
All righty. Anyway, have a great night, everybody, and we'll see you back here next week, hopefully. Have a good one.